when they asked me to be a manager and I heard the salary and I compared it to what the salary is as a bartender or a server, I would say it's about 1/3, maybe half. And I think this is where a lot of people, or maybe a lot of your listeners, might understand. Like, you're taking a step back,
right,
monetarily. But what are you gaining from it? And whatever your goals are in the future, that's what's going to happen.
That's what depends on what are you writing things. Do you have a vision for yourself? Do you want to be an owner? Do you want to be a millionaire? Do you want to retire by the age of 50? Then you have to sometimes step back or take a step to the left to get an unlimited ceiling, or to sacrifice cash flow now for an education.
Absolutely. Amen, brother.
Yeah.
I mean, that's beautiful. That's exactly how I
This episode is brought to you by Restaurant Systems Pro.
With excitement, allow me to introduce to you today's guest, founder of Kara Restaurant Group and co-host of Restaurant Punk, the podcast, Yianni Karapanagiotis.
Yo, yo, yo.
My man Yianni,
What's
are you
going
feeling
on?
unstoppable
Oh,
today?
you know it.
Yeah, man.
Unstoppable. Unstoppable. As long as I don't get married again, because I'm married to the restaurant business.
Yeah.
Till death do us part.
Yeah.
Unstoppable.
It is definitely like having a second wife, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Or only wife.
Only wife. Just one. Just one.
I mean, I'm really excited to be talking to you. I'm excited to let the listeners know about your podcast that you guys just recently launched. How many episodes are you up to now?
I believe 60. 60, 61.
So what, has it been a couple years?
No, man. We do 2 a week. We're shooting over and over again, and we're a little bit ahead, but, you know.
Good for you.
Yeah, why not, brother?
Awesome. So I'm sure we'll talk about that before we say goodbye. The listeners will know where to find you. But you reached out. I looked into the group. I saw that you guys have, I think, what is it, a total of 5 concepts and 13 locations?
Yes, correct.
An event operation and a catering operation, which
yes.
I think is interesting.
It's it's 2 separate entities, but it's, you know, in the same realm.
And a total of, so out of those 5 concepts, 13 with a 14th on the way.
Correct.
I also know your BYOB, which I think is really interesting.
Welcome to Jersey, brother. Let's go.
I'm interested into the economics of that.
All right.
And I noticed that you have a lot of operating partners. And if anybody listens to the show, and this isn't, I mean, I get the pros and cons of partners, no partners, but I don't know how you can be the best unless you're a freak of nature, and most of us aren't, without having some partners to execute. So you're doing a lot of things I'm interested in. I can't wait to dive into your story, but let's get that motivational, inspirational ball rolling with a success quote or mantra. What do you got for us?
Ooh, I'm going to go with my favorite of all time, which I say on a daily basis, and it might be a little cliche. You might have heard this one before, but it's my favorite. Consistency builds credibility over and over and over again. I might get a tattoo of that on my ass, but yeah, definitely.
So unpackage that. Why? Why does that work?
You got to do the same thing. So if we use like restaurant operations on a daily basis, you know, when you walk in, the music level, the decibel level, you know, when you look at a table, is it the same every single time you walk in? Is it an inch to the left? Is the fork crooked? Is the salt and pepper shaker right? Let's get consistent. Daily. Is that dish look different? It's not meant for you to change it. It's meant to look the same every single time. And we go along that way. So...
and plus, I think it's just consistency over time too. That's half the battle. You know, like just showing up over and over. Like if you show up, half of your competition will fall away. If that, you know, over time. I think
is true,
it's just
brother.
one of those things. It's crazy. Great way to get this thing started. So take us back to where it makes sense. Where does it take us to the beginning for you in terms of your hospitality career?
Ooh, well, I'm Greek. Yeah. If you can tell by the last name.
Your last name gave me anxiety, man. I'm not going to lie. I was like, I'm going to screw this one up.
It sounds better than it looks. No, it's great, brother. It's great. It's perfect.
I can see why you call it Kara Restaurant Group now. You know.
Well, it's kind of like when, yes, thank you. There's a method behind our madness. But, you know, watching people butcher it from my birth until now.
My last name's Cacciatore, man. I get it.
Yeah, hey. You know how it goes, brother. You know how it goes.
I think I'd be better at more sympathetic. But anyway.
The beginning, the hospitality. My parents, I would say my father had a diner. I was too young to remember, but with his brothers back in the day in good old Wilmington, Delaware. And as I came into, I think I was 3 years old when he stopped doing that. So I really wasn't, you know, there. Okay. Again, around 14, he reopened another place, and it was a pizzeria. However, being Greek, we have a lot of restaurateurs in our field, and I have some family members, and ranging from anywhere from sub shops to diners. So I would say that was like my first taste of hospitality. And watching owner-operated businesses, be it a sub shop or a diner, they were always there. They were always talking to people. It was just it seemed so much more relationship-based than money-based or business-based. It was like a relationship.
Yeah.
I think that would be my earliest memory of where this came from.
I think I disclosed to you that I started working for Greeks when I was in high school.
You did.
And I worked there all throughout, basically into my late 20s as I was starting this podcast.
Oh,
so almost
right.
12 years working for Greeks. I love Greek people, man.
Listen, you could be honest.
No, I mean they're tough. Don't get me wrong. They're
All
tough, but they're honest, you know. And they'll if you bust your ass and you work for them and you give them everything that you have and you're loyal,
Right.
they will have your back.
Let me ask you a question. Am I allowed to ask you a question?
Yeah, please.
These Greeks,
Yeah.
were they first generation restaurateurs or were they second generation? The parents handed it over to them.
I want to say they were first generation.
Okay, all right, I'll
Yeah,
take that.
I think they grew up. I think they're. I know his mother, Yianni, was his name.
Oh yeah,
He
I like
spelled
him
it with a
already.
G, though.
Gianni.
Yeah. His mother was a pastry chef.
Okay.
And I think that I don't know. Now that I think about it, I know his dad worked with him.
Okay.
I don't think it wasn't passed down. They went off and they did their own thing. It's not like they took over the family business.
Got
But
it.
They might be second generation restaurant operators.
Okay. The reason I ask because I find that second generation restaurateurs where their parents just handed it over and the kids took over the business, most of the time they're not really in tune, and they're just doing it because it's comfortable. I bring that up because I didn't come from that. I just started from scratch and kind of went from there. So that's why I bring that up and I ask these questions because I have
So
a lot of
you had
arguments.
family members, but you weren't second generation, first generation restaurateur.
No.
Wait.
Yes. No. I'm first. Yes.
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 We're aligned.
Yes. We're good. I promise.
Yeah, but I mean, what I remember working for Greeks was just the work ethic, and exactly what to reinforce what you said is they were always there. And if they weren't there, the business didn't run. And there's a certain level of like the relationship that the power of relationships, yes, but is that sustainable?
Well, we can get into that.
Yeah,
because how do you do it with 13 places? Is it because I'm a people person and I'm at all 13 places every day on a daily basis? And I think that's the mindset when it comes to growth.
Right.
And we look at growth and refinement as complete opposites.
Wait, so what is the mindset again? I think I might have missed the actual.
When you speak, we were just talking about Greeks.
Yeah.
And I think I've heard it maybe 1,000 times over my career. If I'm not at my restaurant, everything goes down. Everything burns down. Everything goes to shit. And sometimes, how do you grow?
Right.
Do you just there's a Greek saying, you put glue on your feet when you have your business. You're there all the time, 24/7, nonstop. So I think getting away from that mindset.
It's weird because there's you also point out that there's tons of value to that of being there all the time.
Of
right?
course.
Because of the relationships.
Of course.
People show their loyalty to you. Don't worry about the phone. I'm in restaurants every day. The phones ring.
All right,
It's
cool.
part of
That's a good thing.
Yeah. We're at a good spot. They're busy.
Right.
So there's something to be said about the relationship aspect of things, right? But at the same time, so I kind of lost my train of thought with the phone. I'm not going to lie.
You're good, brother.
So, yes, you can't underestimate the significance of being there. But at the same time, I think you should create a business that you want to be at and choose to be there because it's what you love to do. But if you can't be there, then you should have the choice to go to a funeral, the choice to go to a wedding, the choice to catch a football game or a baseball game.
Yeah.
And I think that's the difference is not being a slave to it, choosing to be there.
Right.
What are your thoughts?
Once somebody said to me, Yianni, you have a successful restaurant. There are people that would cut off their pinky to be in your shoes. Why are you talking about doing another one or another one? Or there's a gentleman called Colin Cowherd that I would listen to sometimes between podcasts. And I come across Colin Cowherd, and he used, I don't know if you like Tom Brady or not.
I'm from New England.
Well, no shit. There we go. The GOAT.
Yeah.
Right? And he used an analogy for Tom Brady of how people think or how they're wired. One Super Bowl just isn't enough. I need more. I need more. I need more. And it's not a greed thing. It's a passion thing. And I think in our business, Can you say creativity has no end?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love that. That might be another mantra I like to use because you know what I mean. There really is no end. You can just keep going, and it's not a money play. It's a passion play. It's you know, yeah, I would go along those lines. I like that.
Awesome. So you had a family working in the business.
Right.
You weren't. Were you working for aunts and uncles? Were you doing side work, or was your first exposure to restaurants?
All I'm going to say is I was 18 years old here in New Jersey, and I was getting into a lot of trouble. Barely made it out of high school. I did have a report card that I actually have framed that had straight Fs on it in high school. So I barely made it out, but I just knew I had a love for it. I'd worked for a steakhouse as a dishwasher, and I'm like, there's no other life for me. I mean, this is just it. This is where
What'd
it's
you
at.
love about it?
You know, the people coming in and out. I fell in love with a waitress every night. You know, there were customers. You know, the guys were just coming back. It was like a team, a sport. It was just, it was great.
Yeah.
Nonstop.
So, did you at this point? Are you saying I'm in? Like this is what I want to do?
Yes. And there was a point where I was 18. And I looked around, and I have an uncle in Toronto who we would say is a restaurateur, and I drove to him to ask him if I could come up there, live up there, and learn. So that was really my transformation.
And what kind of operations was your uncle running?
They were, I wouldn't say fine dining, but upscale casual.
Yeah.
And then he had a coffee shop. I think him just teaching me how to put systems in place. For instance, one of the coffee shops had donuts.
Okay.
So the employees would see him across the street at a busy intersection, and everybody starts scrambling. And I would just look around. And, you know, he's like, I don't know, 5'8", mustache, Al Pacino looking. You know, he's got a crazy eye. But he's like across the street. Everybody starts scrambling. And I noticed the one thing that they did was they went to the donuts, and they just lined them up perfectly. So it looks like a supermarket. Everything's lined up. And just watching these little things, and he'd walk in and, you know, twirl his mustache and just look around and just look for do every little detail. And I'm talking about, you know, cobwebs in the ceiling, a little bit of dirt in the grout. And, you know, those are the systems that I really needed to learn. And then when it came to the books, which is one of the scariest part for restaurateurs, what goes on behind the scenes? We know operations are physical, but what goes on behind the scenes? That's really where I learned.
So you were 18 when you were working at the steak shop. How old were you when you moved to Toronto?
Same year. Same year, because aside from working at the steak shop and getting into more trouble at the steakhouse.
So this is the mid to late 90s?
Yes, 94. Yeah, okay. 94.
Okay.
Yeah.
You own your first restaurant by 2002.
Yes, I did. I have another mantra. You want to hear it?
Yes, please.
I won't stop. I won't stop, brother.
I won't stop.
I didn't read this. I just wrote it on a piece of paper, and I said, this is going to be my life. A restaurant by the age of 30, $1 million by the age of 40.
Nice.
Excuse me. When I say $1 million, I mean $1 million net worth, not $1 million cash in my pocket. And semi-retired by 50. Ooh. That's it. Just those three.
How many years until 50?
3.
How are you doing? Are you on par?
I'm on par.
Nice.
Yes. I did say semi.
Yeah.
Semi. I don't want to go sit on a beach and do. I want to keep doing this shit for the rest of my life, but I want to do it because I love it, not because I need to. Yeah.
Right. I love that. Choice is powerful, man. Well, congratulations. But why is it so important to write things down? Like, to get into the power of that?
Well, it's not complicated. I made it very simple. Just 3 fucking things to do. This is the goal. I don't care how you do it, but you have to do it.
Right.
Whatever it takes, do it.
What's that crazy like documentary that's out there? Is like the Secret. I think it's called The Secret, and it's this whole idea of like manifesting destiny. I don't know if I'm all the way in. But I think there is some truth to this idea of having a vision, writing it down, looking at it every day, and there is some truth to like if you keep yourself on that center line by seeing this stuff.
Oh, I like that, brother.
Yeah. It's powerful.
The Secret.
You probably heard that documentary. Everyone kind of gives a shit. Like if you think about it, if you can manifest it, I think there's
all right.
I mean,
I was 20 years old, brother. I was 20 years old. I'm like, you know what? You could write down 18 pages of what you're going to do. How about just do this?
I think it just keeps you focused and you're constantly working towards those goals. And it's if you write it down, you're less likely to get distracted because it's not what I wrote down.
I like that.
And how do we start this? Consistency over time. right?
Yeah.
So
Well put, brother.
there's some
I
power
like
to
that.
that. Thank you. Yeah. Well, I'm trying to be better about letting my guests speak. I'm getting some criticism online. But anyway, so you're working for your uncle. He teaches you systems and he teaches you the books. Get a little bit more into the systems. You knew through observing that he communicated standards, because if they saw him coming, everything got tightened up. But how did he put systems? Were there checklists? How did the people know where to put everything?
That's a beautiful question, brother. There was nothing written down. There was nothing. He would just say it once, and they would do it.
That constant gentle pressure.
I love it. And was that out of fear, or was that just to please him? Maybe both.
Is that your standard today, or are you taking it beyond that?
I would let somebody else answer that. I would like to say I'm very fair, and I do have the eyebrow raise, and I can be a little much. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what about the books? What did he teach you about the book? What were the biggest lessons in those early days?
It's just such a scary thing, and then when you really sit down and do it, I think just like anything in
Why
life,
is it scary?
Oh, I think it's scary to a lot of people. Like, what am I doing? How am I doing my sales tax? I got to keep track of my numbers every day. And I know back then, as opposed to now, everything is on a credit card, really. So you have QuickBooks. You got a lot of tools that really just help you stay in focus with your profits, your bottom line, your sales. And really, we like to use year-over-year comparisons. And we like to see if there's growth, if it's stagnant, and just try and see where we're at. So I think that can be intimidating to... I spoke at a culinary class of a bunch of they want to be chefs, and they're young kids, and we talked. So I was sitting down for half an hour, and then half an hour into it, I said, "Let's everybody get up. Let's loosen up a little bit." I said, what do you want to be when you grow up?" And he says, "I just want a whole fleet of food trucks." And I'm like, "That it?" I'm like, "Easy. Go buy one, marketplace, work on it, fix it up, run it for 10 years." Learn how to do the books, learn how to form an LLC, all the things that go into play that are non-physical restaurant operations, and just get it out of the way. Just get the first one out of the way first. And then 10 years later, then get your second. And then we'll go from there. It doesn't
Why 10 years?
I like the 10-year rule.
Why is that?
I don't know. You really I know after owning and operating one restaurant for 10 years, because me and my brother did not open up a second restaurant until 11 years later. So I feel like it took 10 years of me working the grind, getting in there, working every day, 7 days a week, like we just talked about, Greeks being in their restaurant.
Yep.
And that's really how we built the first restaurant. And then we went to the second. And I think it's a great push. And
I think we're going to unpack that
a
lot. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I spent a lot of time in the first restaurant because I think that's really where we're galvanized.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're working for your uncle.
Right.
Here's 1994.
1994, brother.
And how long were you in Toronto?
I actually was there I'd never planned on leaving. So
it's a cool city.
It's such a cool city, brother.
Yeah, I was there last year.
I fell in love with it. I was
spread out too.
I'm in heaven. I mean, the women were just unbelievable. And I love it.
Is that like Canada's Florida?
Oh, yeah.
South,
There's a lot of French going on in Montreal and the other cities, but Toronto I felt like was more Americanized, but it just had a little European flair. It was so clean. I just fell in love with it, and that was it. And I never planned on leaving. But, as fate would have it, while I was up there working and learning and doing all that stuff, a year and a half, second year, I came down back home to go hang out, and I wound up at a place in Philadelphia that had a Greek night, and I met a girl, and she turned out to be my future wife. So I left Toronto. I got in the car, and I said, I'm going to marry that girl. I went to Toronto, packed my stuff, moved back home. And
when did you come back to New Jersey?
97.
97.
Yeah.
So you had about 5 years between coming back, meeting your future wife, and owning your first restaurant.
5 years. Yeah, 97, 2000. Yeah.
So when you left, where were you on your journey of being ready to open a restaurant?
So I told my uncle in Toronto, I'm heading out. Where are you going? So I'm going back to Jersey. I'm in love. Oh, you're in love, eh? Okay. I said, what do you think I should do? What do you think my next step should be? He's like, you should go work for these American companies. I don't know how they do it, but really learn the corporate system. And I'm like,
good advice.
What, like McDonald's or whatever? No, he's like, no, it's something like a stupid, I don't know how, he had trouble saying the words with the Greek accent, but I knew what he was trying to say. He was going along the lines of like an Olive Garden or a T.G.I. Fridays, like these real American companies and systems. I actually came back and I wound up going to T.G.I. Fridays.
Nice.
And I was like, okay. I had worked at so many different places and restaurants that I'm skipping over a lot of that. But Steakhouse, my uncle, and T.G.I. Fridays would be the main ones.
The transformative times.
Yes.
So how did you transform at T.G.I. Fridays?
Well, I got hired as a server, and I served there. And then they asked me to be a bartender, and I said, okay. Then they asked me, are you interested in the kitchen? I said, I am. And then they said, would you like to be a manager? So, bartenders out there all know this. Bartenders make a lot more than the kitchen staff does. Right. When they asked me to be a manager and I heard the salary and I compared it to what the salary is as a bartender or a server, I would say it's about 1/3, maybe half. And I think this is where a lot of people, or maybe a lot of your listeners, might understand, like, you're taking a step back monetarily. But what are you gaining from it? And whatever your goals are in the future, that's what's going to happen.
That's what depends on what. Are you writing things? Do you have a vision for yourself? Do you do you want to be an owner? Do you want to be a millionaire? Do you want to retire by the age of 50? Then you have to sometimes step back or take a step to the left to get an unlimited ceiling, or to sacrifice cash flow now for an education.
Absolutely. Amen, brother.
Yeah.
I mean, that's beautiful. That's exactly how if I could articulate it the same way you did, I'm going to listen to this and I'm going to write it down exactly how you said it, because that's how that was
true,
perfect.
Though.
No,
and
agreed.
when you're young, like, you take a job for a quarter difference an hour, and that's important to you, which is so stupid.
Right.
Yeah.
So I took the job as the manager, and I took the very large pay cut. But, one of the first things was learning how to lead people and not be a dictator. So the second thing I learned was, they fly you out to Dallas for 2 weeks. They put you in the T.G.I. Fridays managerial. And, as corny as it may sound, it was one of the best experiences of my life, because being around so many independent restaurant operators, the think is totally different. And I think that's what my uncle was trying to say with go to like a corporate place, because you're going to see things that you haven't seen before, and different kinds of systems and different ways of thinking. And I was always grateful for that. But I did very well at T.G.I. Fridays. Shout out.
What do you mean by well?
Well, meaning that being that young and being a manager, I was surrounded by older managers. And I'll go as far as 30s, 40s, 50s.
So you're 20 years old? 21, around that ballpark?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very young.
Yeah.
The manager that asked me, or the director of operations, I was actually bartending at another T.G.I. Fridays, and he happened to walk in. And I'm a guest bartender, and I'm on my hands and knees scrubbing out the fridge of the beer cooler, and he just happened to notice that. He didn't say anything. I didn't find out till later on. I said, why me? He's like, well, you're a guest at another restaurant. Instead of standing around doing nothing, you're cleaning their bar. That's what it's all about.
Right.
And I really like that.
So back from where your uncle brought you to this idea of understanding the business, understanding the books, understanding standards, but he was still kind of it sounds like, in no disrespect to your uncle, a little bit of a dictator. There wasn't tools or systems or processes or checklists, a standard, an operations manual that he handed his employees. He was the manual, and he communicated the standards.
I have to interrupt you for a second. I got to give a shout out to my aunt, his wife, because they are a team. Okay, so yes, you're right. He is the dictator. She is not the dictator. I'm sorry. Yeah, I should have mentioned that beforehand. I learned from both of them, but he's like the guy.
Got it. So, what really paint the picture of how you were elevated at T.G.I. Friday? Like your uncle definitely elevated you, but you continued to soar up beyond this with the education you got at T.G.I. Really, what were the biggest pivotal things that you pull from that experience?
Well, you mentioned dictator when it comes to my uncle, and I
never met your uncle.
I know. I wanted to be the opposite. I didn't want to lead like that. I wanted to lead through. He's amazing. Like I said, the mindset's totally different. You go into corporate America and people are, it's a swinging door. I'm just here for the money. And, how do you lead that type? But it's the 80-20 rule. 20% of the people in that restaurant are there and locked in and really care about
culture.
Yes.
Culture carriers.
And, when they're running that show and the other 80% are just kind of in and out the door, or, I'm just here until I get my real job. I've heard it a billion times over my career. I really enjoyed, I'm going to say role definition. And role definition, I think, is everything. So when I say role definition, I mean as a key to success. In other words, there's the director of operations, then there's the general manager, then there's the assistant general manager, then there's the kitchen manager, bar manager, server manager, host and busser manager, and then manager in training. And I'm like, that's a lot of managers for one place. But the roles are defined just through titles. I've seen this in independent. I'm going to use let's use a diner, a Greek diner, for instance. You might have 6 family members in there. Okay, is there a director of operations?
I was smiling because I watched like 2 episodes or like clips of episodes on your podcast, and I know how you feel about diners. So.
Oh, okay. All right. I love them. I do. I don't know how to tell you. Like, I love them. Yeah. But again, I'm going to go with the Think. The Think is totally different. But I have seen a place like that to where there are 6 owners.
Right.
And it's a shit show, brother.
Right.
It's a shit show. I'm in charge. Can you imagine, like, different people coming through the door and saying, I want that there. And then the next owner comes in and goes, no, I want it there. Yeah, but Jimmy says I want it over here. So we put it over there. And then they all argue. And then, it's too much.
So my editor also worked for these 2 Greek guys.
No shit. Okay.
And this was something that we used to talk about all the time because we worked together.
Okay.
And when one was there, it was one way. And when the other one was there, it was a different way.
Yes.
And you had to think about who was working to like get it done their way so you wouldn't have to hear in your ear that you're doing it wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I love it.
So you learned to have roles, and that each role has to have a description of what they're responsible for. So there's no question as to who's responsible for what. Is that the takeaway?
Correct. And I think when we talk about that, I think starting off as a manager in training, then a manager, then me managing the busser and the host, then me managing the servers, then being the manager for the bartenders, then being manager for the kitchen, then becoming general manager.
So there's also a path of growth.
And it went by pretty quick. And I find that if you're efficient and laser focused and locked in, it just naturally comes. If you're just, and I feel like I was just naturally being myself, and and at that age, I mean, I'm still pretty young. I'm the youngest there.
Beyond everybody knowing what their job is, why is it so important to have those titles and that path plotted out? What happens when that happens?
Roles are clear. Not between only you, but between the people that are working and the staff. You know what I mean? And I think that's really important. Like, there should be a final say. You had talked about 2 owners coming in and saying, 2 different things. Where is the final say? I know everybody wants to cross the finish line holding hands together, but I like that. So if I'm a kitchen manager, I am answering to the general manager or the director of operations, and you have to listen, because if you listen, you can make other people better.
How long were you with T.G.I?
Ooh, 1, 2. So I was there for 2, 3, almost 3 years until an independent restaurant company pulled me aside and said, we'd like you to be the director and general manager for our restaurants.
And you came in as the kitchen manager? Was that the title? You were a manager?
Where?
For T.G.I.
Yeah.
Kitchen manager?
Yeah, I left.
When you entered at 3 years, were you the kitchen manager the whole time? Or
no. I entered as a server, brother.
Oh, you entered as a server?
I entered as a server.
Okay.
I
thought you said you went.
Oh, no. I just blew through the ranks just like that.
So when you showed up, did you have an idea of where you could go with that organization?
Yes.
Why?
Because it's clear. And, we talked about manifesting and writing things down. I'm like, they just made it so clear to where you might be in an independent and you're like, okay, am I ever going to own this restaurant? No. So you go into a system like that and you just see the path.
Right.
And you can make a pretty good path for yourself there.
But the people want a path. They want to grow. And if they don't feel like they're growing, if they don't know where they can end up, then they're, giving them a clear path it's good for their mental health. It's good for their
it's everything, brother. That's why I think you're going to love our group and our concept when we get into that. Oh, yeah, you're going to like it.
We're going to unpackage it. So any other key lessons, takeaways about leadership at T.G.I? Because I think that was the other thing that you mentioned. You learn about leadership and you learn about organizational structure and like all that stuff. I'm
just going to say, like you said, I really enjoyed my time there, and I wasn't ever looking to leave. Like I said, I got approached to be and pulled away. I'd like to think loyalty is my strength, but I've been told it can be my weakness as well.
Most strengths are weaknesses.
Most strengths are weaknesses.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
see?
weird. Yeah.
Yeah. I always looked at it as a strength. And he's like, one of our guys, he's like, that's your weakness. And I'm like, no, it's a strength. He's like, trust me. And I've learned a couple lessons by that. But yeah, I hear you, brother.
Yeah. Was there a leader there that you gravitated towards?
Yes.
Who was
His name was David Horn. His name is David Horn. He was the director of operations, meaning that, polo shirt, suit and tie. So basically I believe it's called the United Restaurant Group. They're based out of Virginia. So they owned all the T.G.I. Fridays in Wilmington, Delaware. So he would go around from store to store and meet with the managers. So he was the leader for the managers, and then he was in charge of the real estate dealings and that other stuff. And I was like, okay. And just having conversations with him, I understood why he was in that position.
Why?
I guess grace, knowledge, intelligence, and he really bought into the T.G.I. Fridays. What's the word? Like the what they were trying to do.
He drank the punch.
He drank the punch, but he wasn't trying to sell the punch. And that's why I liked him a lot. He wasn't selling anything. He just liked it himself. And I really admired that. Yeah. Very classy, very cool guy. So that would be my role model in the T.G.I. Fridays frame, going from my uncle to corporate. Can I say corporate America when I'm talking about T.G.I. Fridays? Look,
I'll be honest. When I started this podcast, I was very anti-corporation, anti-franchise, anti-big business. I still think there could be better balance, and that's part of our mission to transform the industry is to create a path to shine a light on how these big operations run, so you can do it on a small scale, and you can treat a little business like a big business. And and I think what will end up happening is we will find a middle ground.
I took it all as education, brother. Like for me, it was all an educational experience because, like I said, I'm gonna have my own place by 30. But
there's a lot we can learn from these corporations. Another thing I've seen past guests do, you went in and you worked for a corporation, but if you want to own a restaurant, I've seen people buy into franchises. Specifically, if they were successful in other careers, they had money, maybe they're engineers or lawyers or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And they're like, I want to open a restaurant. They go and they find a successful franchise, and they steal everything.
Everything. We're in that mode right now where we've been approached to franchise, and I'm like, wow, this is a lot.
And like then a lot of these people, if their concept isn't directly competitive of their current, I think the woman I spoke to, I can't remember her name, but she worked for Five Guys. She started a couple Five Guys. She has like 3 or 4 locations, and then once she figured that out, she started her own Indian food restaurant. Based out of actually DC, I want to say Curry, or I can't remember what it was. Anyway, but she learned so much from that. And it's a crash course into how to franchise a bit. Why not go learn from Five Guys?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. So, before you buy in, though. Exactly. Before you buy in, maybe a little experience helps. Yeah. If you're an engineer, maybe, I've never worked in a restaurant before, but I'm going to get a franchise.
Do great in this industry because they're all about process.
Yeah.
They're all about.
Well, let's say it's fast casual or QSR, and let's say it's a fry joint. I would like to say, not to play it down, but it's a little easier.
Right.
You know what I mean? As opposed to something more upscale casual, let's call it.
Peter in the kitchen.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the Pete.
Yeah. So you have your time at TGI.
Right.
This guy headhunts you.
No, I'm gonna say that it was an independent family of 4: a mother, a father, and 2 brothers in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Shout out Marathon Grill. And I was approached, and I became a manager for them. They offered me a salary, a general manager position. I could move around to different stores. And I wanted to learn from a non-Greek or non-corporate setting. So I would say I went into this family-built empire, which I believe they had like 7 or 8 at the time.
And they were all Marathon Grills?
Marathon Grill, and the other one was Marathon on the Square, which is at Rittenhouse Square. And they and I went to go learn some more.
So this is from the age of 25 to, wait.
No, this is 24. I was there for a year.
Okay. So 2018 to 2019? Or sorry, 1998 to 1999. Is that right? My mind
98 to 99, right?
Yeah.
98. I'm going to say 99, 2000.
How many more years from when you started working for them until you opened your first place?
Summer of 2002. So there was
3 years.
well, they were located in Philadelphia.
Okay.
Eric, I found a spot in Philly, this little tiny pizzeria, and had two bedroom apartments upstairs. You know, I'm a
So there's a
manager.
story before Georgia's.
What's
Or
that?
George's. Sorry.
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
Okay.
oh
So
yeah.
there's a failure.
Oh, well,
I love failures.
I wouldn't say oh, I got some failures for you, brother. This ain't one of them though.
Okay.
Right? I'm in Philly. I'm a general manager. I'm walking around. I have my little Vespa in the city. I am living with my future wife at the time, and we are getting married.
Sounds
there.
like the life.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, I still got a Vespa,
Apartment
brother. But in the city, there's
Girl
some.
of your dreams.
Yeah. Everything's just like
Wow.
good to go. And I'm like, all right. So, okay. Riding around, I see this little spot. It says for sale. And I'm like, interesting. So it was $400,000, and it was a little pizzeria on the bottom, but it had two bedroom apartments upstairs. And I'm like, you know what? I got 30 grand saved up. I'm going to make this deal happen. So I talked with the guys. I went to buy the property.
Yeah.
So I'd asked my fiance, my girl, do you mind if I quit my job? We buy this place. We live in one of the apartments. We rent out one of the apartments, and then I open up, a restaurant in this little square. And she said, absolutely. And I'm like, hell yeah. But then she said, so wouldn't it be nice if we moved down to Cape May, New Jersey, and took over my dad's place, which is for sale, George's place?
Okay.
And I said, listen, I'll love you for the rest of my life, but there's no way in hell I'm moving down to Cape May and taking over your father's shithole place. And no disrespect to the place, because he had been there since 1968 up until that time, but there was a for sale sign in the window to buy the business, not the property, to buy the business for $50,000. And the sign had been up for a year. You hear me talking about, I don't know.
This is the pizza place in Philly.
No,
Oh,
this is her dad's
okay.
place in Cape May, New Jersey. And then there's the pizza place with the property in Philly. So I said, I want this place. I want to do my own thing. She said, wouldn't it be nice? We went down there, raised a family. You took over my dad's place. And to me, it just sounded like a nightmare, because family, restaurants. And I'm like, I want nothing to do with that, like zero whatsoever. So I start working on the place in Philly, negotiating. I'm feeling good about myself. A week goes by after that. And she says, guess what? And I'm like, what? She's like, I'm pregnant. And I said, holy shit, that's fucking fantastic. That's great. So yeah, I got my car and I drove down to Cape May, New Jersey, and I took the for sale sign out of the window and I said, here's the deal. I'll keep the name of your place, George's place, right? I'm going to keep the name of your place, 700 square foot, 10 tables. That's it. I'll keep the name of your place. I'll call you Dad, and I'll name my second son after you. That's all you're ever going to get from me. Deal or no deal? Deal. I want you and your everybody out. I'm going to open up my own LLC, and I'm going to own and operate it. Just stay out of my way, please. And that was the deal, brother. And I would say, because at that age, knowing that I had a child coming, I'm like, do I want to stay in the city and risk it all, or do I want to make this bet? Because our parents were also close by. Her parents were there. So I would say there was fear induced. But I'm glad I made that deal with her father, because it's the best deal that I've ever made in my life.
So why is it the best deal you've ever made?
It's the best deal because it was an open door. Sometimes you just get a little creak open, and maybe, we're talking about things happening for a reason. Maybe she was pregnant for a reason. It was meant for me to do that. And I'll say it's the best deal in my life because roles were defined from day one. And when I tell you, I'll keep the name of your place, George's place, out of respect. Because when I see a man that has worked, whether it be a diner, whether it be a shithole, whether it be a restaurant, that has supported his family and worked his ass off 7 days a week, you might hear me poking at that, but I have the ultimate respect for that. Like, so just because I'm talking shit doesn't mean I don't respect. I respect the man that provides for his family and does it through there. But you can also differentiate if they're doing what they do because they love it, or they're just doing it for the money. And I think that's why, just drawing that line from the get-go in 2002, that's why I say it was the best deal that I ever made. I didn't say, hey, please, can I have this? And then we work together, and then you teach me your systems. I don't want to learn your systems. I know what I'm going to do. And I actually based that restaurant off of a restaurant in Philadelphia called Audrey Claire's. It's a little beautiful corner spot, small place. I always adored it. Not the menu, not anything, just the atmosphere and the feel. So that's what I started with there. So that's how I wound up down here in Cape May, New Jersey.
Lots of cool things that I want to pull from that. One is just the power of candor and the power of direct communication and just saying, like, I'm in, but these are my terms, and doing it respectfully, but communicating what you want up front, because you don't want to wait until after the deal is signed. Because
of course. That's everything, brother. It's everything.
You got to be upfront. You got to be clear. You got to be candid. And candor is hard sometimes because you might have offended him in that moment. What we did isn't good enough for you? You need to change it all?
No. Well, without getting into, I'll get into it.
Okay.
He didn't think I was going to make it. He thought I was a joke. We had something signed.
He still gave you the deal, huh? Did you just want to get out of there?
Well, he gave me a number for rent, which was, I'm going to say it was $60,000, right? And then I looked at his sales, and this is why, like a T.G.I. Fridays or management is so important. The best part is learning how to read a P&L sheet and just really being able to do the numbers in your head. So I said, I'm sorry, did you say the rent is $60,000? He said, yeah. I said, where are your sales? He's like, 180. I'm like, that's 33% of sales. He's like, it's okay, 60 for me, 60 for you, and 60 for everything else. And I'm like, that's not how it works. So as I completely gutted the restaurant and changed the whole menu, and he was making fun of me with, what is this, quesadilla? And I'm like, quesadilla. He's like, what are you doing? People are going to laugh at you. They don't want this. Yeah. They want a hamburger. Do you understand they want a hamburger? And I'm like, I could do better than that. And don't forget, we're talking, like I said, 21 years ago.
Quesadillas were hot back then.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I would say he looked at me and said, you're not going to make it. It's a joke. Like, I know what I'm doing. Like you said, how dare you change? Right. But I'm like, I'm either all in or all out. And I signed a 15-year lease with him, everything on paper. So everything is defined. Have it on paper, done. He owned the building, so he was my landlord. And we went from there. And, brother, I'm going to tell you that I learned real quick that it was very, very difficult.
I think that's a good spot to take our first break to thank our sponsors, and we'll be right back to talk about how you executed this over the next 10 years.
Word.
Awesome. Well done.
We have to interrupt today's video to let you know that right now, Restaurant Systems Pro is offering a no-strings-attached 60-day trial that will help you improve your systems, increase your profit, and find better work-life balance. All you have to do is click the link below.
Let's go.
All right, we're back, and you just left us with a huge cliffhanger. You're about to open or reopen or take over the family business, new family business.
That's right.
What was it like?
Everything leading up to that, and I guess any restaurateurs or future restaurateurs out there will understand, it's all fairy tale until the doors open. And then you're like, okay, now it's time. Now the real work starts. And it was a lot. You put a lot of pressure on yourself, and I don't know how to even put it into words, but I can understand why a lot of first-time restaurateurs fail, or first-time anything. I think from the outside looking in, you're like, hey, I can own a restaurant that looks like fun. It's going to be great, and I'm going to be rich, and I'm going to have a cool car, and everybody's going to know my name, and I'm going to be popular.
The dream takes over.
Yeah, but you actually have to work your fucking business.
You're 25 years old.
Yeah.
Got a baby on the way.
Yeah.
You've worked in a handful of restaurants. You've gotten your management experience for 2 restaurant groups.
Sure.
Excuse me. What were the biggest challenges? You painted the picture of what you thought it was going to be like. We're going to make it. We're going to be rich. We're going to be famous. What was the reality?
The reality was you're not. That's it. So you're going to be in the red, brother.
Yeah. So what were your biggest challenges? So how long were you in the red?
I would say, and I tell everybody this, if you can make it 2 years in the red, break even year 3, and then wait for year 4 to see that profit, that's realistic.
Right. And I think that's a really important thing to keep in mind too when you're raising money. If you do a really accurate pro forma, what do you need to survive for 2 years without any cash flow, and to get that added to the money you're asking for when you're taking those loans. So maybe it's an extra $60,000. Like, can you live with $30,000 a year just in $2,000 with
Don't forget, I'm going in with no loans, no investors, no nothing. I didn't take any outside money because, like I said, if you're going into a restaurant and let's say you're not buying the property, you're leasing it, and you take out a loan. Let's say you take out that $60,000 that you just talked about, and then you put that money into it. So you're $60,000 down. How much is the rent? Let's call it another 60. So you're down $120, $120. What do restaurateurs make? 10%, 5%. If you're a genius, 25%. You have to be a genius. That means work your store every day, 7 days a week. So how long is it going to take for you to make that back? Are you going to make it back? You know, and it's a difficult one. So I'm thankful that I did not have to take money. I just put a lot of elbow grease into it. I didn't hire any kitchen staff. I just did it by myself.
So it took 2 years for you to get into the black.
That's after my first summer at George's place in Cape May. After the summer, which is the busy time, I noticed right around this time,
September.
I'm like, I don't have any money. So what do you do if you own a restaurant and you're going into the slow season and you're in the red and you have kids? Yeah, or you have a kid and you have a family and you need to produce. What do? You get a job.
Yeah.
You goddamn right I got a job, brother, right away. I got a job bartending. I bartended during the winter, kept the restaurant open during the winter. And that's it, because in business, you cannot hide. You are exposed. And I was not going to go ask people for money or do whatever, because I'm not used to it. And I don't like it. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do it. So I did the bartending thing. And going into year 2, it was a breakfast lunch place, Eric, from 1968 till 2002. One of the things, another mantra is pivot. Pivot constantly. If it's not pivot, that's when I introduced dinners at George's place. You know.
So yeah, let's paint the picture of what George's was before.
Yes. Just to be clear, yes, it was a breakfast and lunch place from 1968 until 2002.
Burgers. They want burgers.
Yeah, there was like 8 lunch items, and it was hamburger, and then it was a cheeseburger, and then it was a cheeseburger with mushrooms, and then it was a cheeseburger with mushrooms and bacon, and you had 18 fucking burgers under burger. Just make 2 specialty burgers. You know what I mean? So that's what they want. That's what these people want. They want burgers. They want.
Do they have a decent foundation core customers?
Yes. Yeah, of course. Yeah, there was definitely the summer crowd that came in there and that liked their style. But the one thing that I noticed was that they were all older. And I
feel like you're leaning towards
no, all good. Thank you, brother.
No problem.
And, is it a risk to change everything around? Yes. But I felt like if I kept it the same, that's what it was before. And the first customers that walked in said, what the fuck happened here?
Well, that's what I was curious about.
Yeah.
So you take over and you say, no, we're going to do it different. You have all these loyal customers, or likely, the 80% of revenue that's keeping this place open.
Right.
Or 60 is closer to 60, I've recently discovered. What happened initially, the first couple months? Did you lose a bunch of people? Did you get new people?
In comparison to his sales from the year before, I was down.
Was he kind of like, I
well, that $60,000 rent before I signed, I made him an offer to where, how about instead of the $60,000, I give you 10% of sales? And he laughed. He's like, well, 10%, that's like $18,000. I'm like, well, it's
10% of profit,
10% of sales.
Okay.
All sales, 10% of sales. So if you're doing $200,000 a year, you get $20,000. He's like, why the hell would I do that? I'm getting 60 from you now. I'm like, I'm just offering. You didn't have to laugh.
Yeah, but what about 5 years from now?
Well, that was the big mistake, and that's when, if you try and redo the deal, there's no redoing of the deal. But if you believe in yourself and you go through the grind, just because things aren't going your way, that's why I say pivot, make it happen. Don't sign a 1-year lease, sign a 15-year lease. Get married, don't get engaged. You're married to it, because I see a lot of people asking for 1-year leases. Why are you asking for a 1-year lease? In case it doesn't work out. That's not unstoppable, brother.
Yeah.
No, you need to just go. Well, just in case. Yeah. No, this is not a just in case scenario.
There's only one option.
That's it. Yes. So
how? Ask how.
How?
So you were constantly pivoting. So the first pivot was pivoting away from what your father-in-law was doing.
Correct.
How far did you pivot? What did the menu look like after he left?
Different. I did keep some staples, and there's an item called chip to beef, which is there's a signature. It's called SOS, shit on a shingle, and it's like a thinly sliced beef, but it's in a cream sauce, and it goes on toast. And I was just making it. He's like, it's not right. And I'm like, it's not right. Do it this way. You can't take the chip beef off. You're going to go out of business. And I'm like, I put the new menu up. Chip beef was still on the menu, but I saw the sales just, more people trying some different stuff. Again, this was 21 years ago. So when I say, I'm introducing Nutella into a town that doesn't have Nutella, which is Cape May, New Jersey. And nobody on their menu had, I don't know, Nutella. I know it sounds stupid today, but I was looking to do like different things. So let's say my father-in-law had a waffle with powdered sugar. I introduced a waffle with Nutella and some walnuts, and, you know, just some new ingredients just to modernize it a little bit, and, you know, updating the plateware, updating the whole place. So did a complete changeover atmosphere? Yes. A complete changeover the menu? I'm going to say I kept 25% of it.
Got it.
Yeah.
So that was the first pivot. What were the additional pivots?
The biggest pivot was opening for dinner. So with 10 tables in a restaurant, and the kitchen and storage being even, tiny. So when you get a small restaurant like that, you have to order daily. As opposed to having a bigger restaurant with a shitload of storage, you can order once or twice a week. Not your produce, but like a lot of dry goods. So I found that I was ordering a lot. So I was trying to compact a breakfast lunch service. I would close from 2 to 5 or 3 to 5 just to reset the whole dining room and make it more of a dinner atmosphere. And I opened for dinner and nobody came in. And then one person came in and then we talked. And then a week later, 2 people came in. And there was a time, a year later, year and a half, a table walked in and they said table for 2. And I looked around and I said, I don't have any tables for you. It's going to be a 5-minute wait. And I looked at my brother and I was like, holy shit, we're on a wait for dinner. So when I talk about pivoting, it's just, the rent stays the same. You have your uncontrollable costs and your controllables. Everybody always says control your controllables. Fixed items don't. So if your rent's $60,000 and you're doing $200,000 in sales, that's 33%. But if you're doing $1 million in sales and your rent's $60,000, it's 6%.
Yeah.
So what we did was we just really raised the sales through dinner service and really started profiting. And I said, okay, here we go.
Got it.
Yeah.
Any other additional pivots thereafter?
I think it was just the pivot of life. My son being born, we bought our first house. You're in business, and I'm at 26 years old, and I'm like, you're a little young, and I'm like, well, you got to take an opportunity when it comes.
Yeah.
And whether it was in Philadelphia at that place or whether it was in Cape May, New Jersey, I said, I'm just going to take advantage of this opportunity because we're going to go.
So from when you started doing dinner to when you had a wait list, a year went?
Yes.
So I guess, how do we get into that mindset of just kind of wrapping your mind around the fact that our efforts aren't going to bear fruit in the first year? You got to plant the seed, and then you got to give time for that thing to grow.
Very important, brother. Yeah. Very important. And there was a lot of nights and days that I would just be in there by myself and just wait for a customer to come in. The wife's at home, got a newborn, and I'm like, I'm doing this for a reason. And I'm not going to be here and just play it by chance. I'm going to be in control of what happens. And it wasn't for anybody. I wasn't trying to prove anything to anybody. I just wanted to do it because this is the life that I wanted.
Did it take a year for you to open for dinner? Was it the first year you were breakfast?
Yeah, after the first year, and I told you I started bartending. I'm like, well, I'm not going to do the same thing again because you can only do so much in sales in the summertime. Right? But this place was open year-round. Can you really capitalize on the year-round? Yeah, you can or you can't, but you just have to build sales because the way I looked at it was I have another 8 hours of service. Why aren't we using it? Oh, you're going to waste your time. Nobody's going to come in for dinner. I'm like, I'm going to go for it.
Yeah.
And, one at a time.
And it took a year of showing up for dinner to build that foundation, that loyal customer.
Yes, and I'm going to point out also that first year, again, I know I said it was 21 years ago, but I put all dinners at $9.95.
Wow.
And I'm not talking about bullshit dinners. I'm talking about, salmon. I'm talking about
this
proteins.
Is pre-menu engineering skills.
I just wanted to get people in the door, and I noticed people would stop, look at the menu. It didn't have a reputation for dinner. And they would say $9.95. And they would just look at each other because I'd watch them out the window, just talk to each other.
So was it intentional?
I did it intentional, yeah,
Okay.
because
What
I
was
believe
the
in
strategy?
sales. I believe another mantra: sales make everything disappear, brother. And I just need to get some sales in there, and I just need to get some people and connect and see.
So the price dinner $9.99, and you had a menu. Everything on it was $9.99.
Everything on it, yeah.
Now, did you do enough? Like, was it just a guess? Or were you like, okay, on average, if we get an even split, like this is like the medium, like.
I'm going to say I made 10 cents on every dinner entree, but I was getting people in the door. And as it got busier, I hired an employee. And then the servers were making more money. And I'm like, okay, this is what growth is. Slow, low and make it work. And then it's going to work. Don't do it just for the money. Do it for growth and make something, you can always measure profitability.
What do you mean by growth? If money isn't growth, what is growth?
Well, growth is, how do you measure, a restaurateur? How do you measure a business? You can always measure their profitability on a piece of paper, but how do you measure their durability? How do you break? And I always look at, our group and I'm like, how do you break us? Very durable. So how do you really measure that with somebody or with a business? So when I talk about growth, how do you grow without, taking out a shitload of money and borrowing this? And then, are you digging a bigger hole? Maybe you are, maybe you aren't. Our way of doing it is, how do we become unbendable? How do you become an octopus and take one of the legs off and you still have 7 more?
It's interesting. Simon Sinek is talking a lot about this lately. I think he on his, I don't know if it was for his book, The Infinity Game, or this idea of like, you don't play it's not about the numbers and it's not about winning the game. It's like this infinity game, this idea of that, like the game's never over. Right?
Never.
And I think it was in reference to that book. He was talking about these organizations that when they're hiring, they look for a certain type of person. It's like XY axis. And you have on one axis, it's skill, like technical skill. On the other axis, it's loyalty. And that they almost always sacrifice skill for loyalty because of that.
Sacrifice skill for loyalty. Wow.
Because of that variable of like, how do you measure? What was the term you used? For
durability.
Durability. And I think durability is very synonymous with loyalty, right? Like they're going to stick with you. The culture's strong.
That's
what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'll go along with that. And how do you
measure that?
How do you measure it? How do you feel like, I would call it, I don't want to say a safety blanket. I don't know. You just feel stronger inside, and the people around you feel stronger inside, and that you can't stop that. So, unstoppable Big Daddy. That's what I'm talking about.
So 2 years to get into the black. How did things start to change once you were in the black? Did you start looking at every menu item and really thinking about baking? Like, what did that look like? I don't want to lead you.
I'm going to say that fulfillment and saying, okay, all right. I remember one of my friends used to say, he used to introduce me as, hey, this is Yianni. He owns George's place. And they'd be like, yeah, but he's Yianni. I think one of the smartest things I did was keep the name. There was a reason I kept the name, because I could use the since 1968. He's like, why don't you change it to your name? I'm like, that's ego. That's not smart. That's not a smart move. So I wanted to keep that since 1968. Consistency builds credibility. So I thought that would help, and I thought that was a smart business move at 26. Was it the safe play? No, but I had a vision, and I just wanted it to work. And we're still here, right? I think we're still here. Yeah.
So 10 years. I love that. 10 years. You're at 13 going on 14 locations right now. The year is 2022. So you have 13x your growth in the past 12 years versus, well, you've 13x your growth in the past 20 years, but it happened in the last 10 years.
It really happened in the past 4 years, 5 years. Yeah, that's where it's all exponential, brother. Yeah. When you talk about, owning a bunch of stuff, you start off with one, 10 years later, you open the second. And I would say in the last 4 years, we've opened 8 of those 14.
So what I'm curious about is, what was that evolution of that first restaurant? Where were you after 10 years?
After 10 years, my brother, the Pete, was working in Philly for some great chefs like George Perrier. He was working under Scott, the chef at Budokan, and he was learning some stuff. So he had called me up and said, hey, listen, I'm going to open up a restaurant in Philly. And I was like, good for you. He's like,
I talk to a lot of chefs. I talk to their business partners.
Oh, yeah? You don't talk to a lot of chefs? Yeah. No, you talk to a couple.
Nothing, no, like bash, like chef owners, but for the most part, I like to talk to their business partners.
Did you just say chef owner?
Chef owner.
You're gonna get me going, man. I don't want to say anything bad. Yeah, I just from Boston. I'm just gonna say you can't be a chef owner. You cannot. It does not exist. There's no such thing as a chef owner. Pick one, okay? Don't be bisexual. Pick one. Are you a chef or are you an owner? Well, I'm the chef and I own the place. Well, those are two different things. A restaurant owner and a chef are two different jobs.
Right. You can you can have equity in the business as the chef.
No, that's ego. You just want to say you're the owner. Pick one. Are you a chef or are you an owner? Well, I'm both. No, you're not. Pick one. What do you want to be when you grow up? A chef or an owner? I did not want to be a chef. I wanted to learn, and I could still chef my ass off.
Yeah.
But I'm a restaurant owner.
Right.
Right. And at the end of the day, like I said, I'm sorry. You touched a nerve with that because,
I'm here to listen, man. I'm here to get your perspective. And I appreciate your perspective. So 10 years in,
right.
Paint the picture of what George's was after 10 years.
Right. So after 10 years, we got a really, really, really big boost. We got a call from the Food Network. Ooh. And Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives at that time was like a really big deal.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and that was 2010.
Yeah,
2009. Sorry,
guy shows up at your place, it's a game changer.
And like
even
I said,
to this day, but then
13 years ago,
the doors off.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah.
So we got the call, and I'm like, and they said it's between us and a legendary place in Atlantic City that I used to go to as a kid. It's slipping my mind right now, but anyway. They said it's between the two of you. I looked at my brother, the Pete, and I said, they're not going to pick us. I mean, they're going to go with, it's legendary. Next thing you know, they're like, we're coming. They send the producers down. They send the crew down. Word gets around town, and all of a sudden, kaboom.
So what happened? Where was, like, paint the picture of what your business was. How many more times did you pivot thereafter and paint the picture of what George's was? Like, were you profitable? Were you in the black every
Yes.
Do you mind getting into numbers?
Yes and no, but at the same time, I wasn't really good with the numbers. I'll tell you, here's the problem. Or actually, it was probably one of the best experiences of my life was getting audited for the first time. And it really taught me how to, keep my books together. The problem was I was just throwing receipts here, throwing receipts there, throwing them in a box. And I think going through a couple years, any of you guys out there that have gone through this, I'm somebody that did not keep good records, but going through everything, every single thing, and presenting it and proving it, by the end, I was good. I was fine. So it was actually an educational experience, but I learned a lot from that.
Biggest lessons.
Yeah. So when it comes to the numbers, when you start doing, 300,000, then 400,000, then you hit the $500,000 mark, you're like, all right. Okay.
There's plenty of money.
Okay. And don't forget, I'm working it.
Yeah.
My brother is there working with me. He's going between Philly, driving back and forth, down to me, back to Philly being a chef, back down. And he was in high school when I opened in 2002. But from high school as a senior, he would drive down and help. And he'd do a little of the front, he'd do a little of the back.
Your father-in-law could have been making $50,000 a year over year.
Well, that's the beauty of it. And as the numbers go up, he's like, oh, maybe there's something to this.
Is it too late to take that deal?
Look, he's not the type of father-in-law to say, hey, I'm really proud of you. You're doing a great job. He's like, and I'm like, come on, man. Come on. Because I'm still, he looked at me like I'm a kid, which I was. I'm still 28, 29. I'm still under 30 years old. I got my second son on the way. So Michael, my first son, was born. He's 3. Then my youngest son was born, Georgie. And like I said, I kept my end of the deal. I named my second son after him. I said, I told you, huh? A deal's a deal. I'll name my second son after you. So it was just a good vibe. And between my brother and another gentleman, hopefully that you'll meet, Nikos, was there as well. And we just had it. We just had it. And I'm actually writing a book now, and I'm writing about what we're talking about right now. I don't know how you explain, like, once you get to the magic point and you're like, oh, my God, this is the perfect ballet. This
flow.
Oh yeah. And that's what I look for today, every single day. All these years later, I go into every restaurant. I look for the ballet, that perfect dance between the front of the house and the back of the house, to where the kitchen has a couple tickets and the front of the house is moving and everybody's just moving in perfect unison. Because when you walk into your restaurant and your front of the house staff is just sitting around, and then you look in the kitchen, they've got 18 tickets and they're moving around, the flow is off.
Right.
If you walk in the front of the house and you see everybody running around like a madman, you go in the kitchen, they got one ticket up there, it's off. So that's what I look for every day when I go into all the different restaurants. I think that's my job.
Yeah.
That's what I do today. I look for the ballet and how to restore balance.
So in terms of you did the audit, it forced you to kind of go through every receipt, and what did you start doing thereafter?
I just start keeping records and just being more start using my credit card, right? Like to make purchases. And that way it's there, and that way I always have it. So I can look at my credit cards.
Your cash.
Yeah, just, that's really what got you know, a business owner, that's why I said, you know, chef, owner, you know, all these things, organization with the books, not my
I'm
best.
right there with you.
All right, you know what I'm saying.
I've been in
then.
trouble with the IRS. I won't lie. When you first start a business, every dollar you make is
absolutely
going into your belly and into your rent.
And I think I wish that everybody would get an audit in the restaurant business, because you're going to learn something. And you know what? You ain't going to do it again, and it's going to change your complete mindset. The problem is the restaurateurs that totally focus on that and forget to be in their restaurant and talk to people and touch tables and be present. Either you do that and you're an accountant or a bookkeeper, because what they do is, you know, I think it's amazing. Like to them, it just comes like this. To me, it's like, I don't understand it.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the bigger lessons too. Is as soon as, if you're not a numbers person, as soon as you can outsource the numbers, do it. Get it off your plate if that's not you, because that will bury you.
Absolutely.
So that was a huge lesson for you. This idea of just getting your cash under control. What was the next evolution for you? This was how long was this in?
The next evolution, even during the what we were talking about before with the IRS stuff, we had opened our second restaurant, which was down the street from George's place, a couple doors down, and we had seen 4 or 5 restaurants go in and out of there over the past 10 years, right? So it's 2002. I'll say 9 years. So my brother came from Philadelphia, and I said, "You want to do this?" He's like, "Yeah." So I'm just going to throw a little role definition in there just so we're on the same page. I don't know how it's going to sound to everybody or to you. My brother came down. I said, "Listen, very carefully, before you come down, I just want to let you know we will open a restaurant and we will open more. But you have to understand that for the rest of your life, you'll be Robin. You'll never be Batman. If you can live that life, we're going to have a good life. I promise you." And to this day, that's how it works.
Yeah.
And it works.
Why is that important?
Like I said, the role definitions, like who am I talking to? Who's the guy? And that's even just having one restaurant moving on to 2, not 5, not 10, not 12. And that's how we create the chain. And just to let everybody know that this is the clear path, because when you take that kind of responsibility, if things work, yeah, you can take credit, but I can't take credit without him. But if things don't work, I like to look in the mirror and say that's my fault.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I think at the end of the day, somebody needs to make a decision. Yeah. Right? And I think by having that majority person, that, hey, like you're pulling in from everybody's perspective and you're hearing everyone's weigh in, but at the end of the day, you're using all that to make a decision.
Definitely.
One person has to make the decision. Not necessarily has to, but I agree with you that is a way.
Listen, I got 9 years on him too, if that helps. You know what I mean? So, you know, so we opened the YB, which stands for the younger brother, in 2011. Another BYOB.
Yeah. So was that the second location?
That was the second location.
2011.
Right.
But anything in terms of how you scaled, the things that you were doing differently after 10 years with George's, like where was the peak of that evolution before? Like what made you think we're ready for number 2?
I would say the Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives.
Okay.
Back at that time. And actually my brother was on the episode Chopped. So both shows were hugely popular back then. And we were starting to get a little bit of a reputation.
Got it.
And all I'm going to say is that it was a 10-table restaurant. And many times, so we didn't take reservations for dinner. All I'm going to tell you is there would be 100 people outside all the way down the block.
Wow.
And I'd walk outside, and the first 20 tables we would take. Everybody else, sorry.
Yeah.
This is where it hit me. I'm like, you know what? Even if we left quality alone and we just didn't focus on quality, we're still going to be busy here for the next 5 years. I didn't say we're going to do that, but what happens when you have 2 children instead of 1 child? 1 child gets 100% attention, 2 children, 50-50. This is where I would say a lot of maybe your listeners who are restaurateurs own 1 restaurant, the fear of opening the second. But I think having my brother and Nikos, I said, you know what? We can do it. Quality will not go down. And that was a big aha moment for me. I'm like, okay, we can do this.
So did you stick by the first location? And I'm assuming YB, younger brother, that was his baby.
So I thought it was genius of me. Maybe not so much, but we could argue this. So on the Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives episode, I did not go on. My brother went on.
Yep.
So he did some of his dishes, and here's what I did. We opened the second restaurant down the street and took one of those dishes and moved it down the street to the YB. George's place was so busy, that I was like, well, listen, because they would come in and say, we'd like to try the turkey dish. And I said, I'm sorry, actually, we're serving that over at the younger brother, just to get the place a little bit going. But I did something there that we've never done again to this day. I bought a business. We bought that business. The business. So when you buy the business, right? You buy a business. You're not buying the real estate. You're just buying the name, the equipment, tables and chairs. And we weren't even going to use the brand. So we got them from $125,000 to $92,000. We asked them if they'd split that $92,000 into 5 years. They said no. 4 years, no. 3 years, no. 2 years, yeah, we'll do 2 years. So the rent's $40,000. Then we got to give these guys $40,000. So we're in the whole $80,000. We made it by the skin of our teeth, but I've never done that again. My brother's never done that again. We've never bought a business from that day forth.
What was the reason why you thought that was the way to go, and why is it not the way for you to go going forward?
I think if you are a restaurateur and you are respected, all of our deals that have come to us, we get maybe 20 offers a year. We might take 1 or 2 of them. Why? Because the deal makes sense. The deal makes sense. They're not on the market. Like I find that if you see a restaurant for sale that's on the market, you want to get in before. So we get these phone calls and we get really good deals. And if the deal makes sense, some people are greedy, some people aren't. But yeah, I'm sorry if I got off topic there. But going into the second restaurant, paying for the business was huge.
I am curious about for you, what is the honeymoon deal? What is like the that's a yes, hands down. What are you looking for? What makes you salivate?
We've gotten a couple arguments on this, but percentage of sales. That's our favorite deals. I told you about it from George's Place from 21 years ago. You're guaranteed something, correct? So I think when a lot of landlords, let's say they're non-restaurateurs and they have a restaurant that they want to rent out, and they say, I want this number because, the numbers have to work out. Not my favorite deal unless it's a home run. Like, you have to look at a property or a business, and if they want $100,000 in rent, the quick math that I do is this a $1 million store? Is this a 10% store? That should be the number. How do you know if it's $1 million store or not? Experience, years.
Yeah, you can do some quick math.
Yeah. So those are my favorite deals. Unfortunately, I don't know if this is going to vibe with everybody too, but a lot of restaurants go out of business. We have a deal to where a gentleman put a lot of money into a place, and less than 3 years later, I got a phone call, and you want our place. I'm like, how much do you want? Nothing. Just want to get out of this lease. That means somebody's drowning, brother. That's pain. That's real pain. And I know what it feels like. So, we don't want to take advantage. So we make deals that are good, comparable. So, yeah, that would be my favorite deal.
Well, I mean, I just came from talking to Sean Finter.
Okay.
I don't know if you heard of Bar Metrics. He's a founder of Bar Metrics.
Okay.
Now he does consulting. He owned 7 restaurants at one point, or 6 restaurants and bar restaurants in Australia. And he was talking about when he was starting his business, I think he did only percentage. He did 50-50 sales. And he would take over. He'd go in. He's like, I'm going to take over. Kind of like what you did with your father-in-law. I'm going to run everything. I'm steering the ship.
Okay.
I'm going to get 50% of sales. You're going to get 50% of sales. But that person owns the restaurant. And this was his consulting. So he started doing with consulting, and that's kind of how he made the money. And then from there, I think he would eventually go take over, but a similar profit sharing model. To
Interesting. I see.
I'd have to listen to it again. It was recent, but
all right. I might have an argument with him.
Well, maybe I'm not really delivering it well.
Well, you said 50-50, and whenever I hear 50-50 in anything, I say no. So that's why I'll be curious to tell you about how we operate.
He didn't own 50% of the operation. It was just 50% of the cash flow.
The sales, the flow, split
and
up
he
the
was
flow.
getting 100% of decision making. He was going to
100%. Okay.
So basically, he would find people who had a good location, they had potential,
right?
The food, but they just didn't know how to run the restaurant. He would come in. He was working for the Hard Rock. And he got kind of like where you went to T.G.I. He went to the Hard Rock and learned everything. And he would go in and basically flip these places and be like, "There's money
beautiful.
being like this place should make money. I know how to make money."
Right.
He would say, "Let me take over. We'll split the I guess the profit."
Okay.
And then he would go on. I don't know exactly how he did it, but it's the first time I've really heard of like this idea of like splitting the revenue.
I'm gonna check that out. All right, I'm curious now.
So, what about operations? Did you evolve as like your operations? Did you get better? Because you're talking to yourself about, okay, like if we're not here, then this place doesn't run, and it really kind of hinged on you and your brother, right? Now you're at today, 10 years later, you're at 13 locations, 5 concepts, 13 locations.
Mm-hmm.
Have you had to change the way you do things to operate at that scale?
Absolutely, of course, brother.
Like what?
Well, it took us 10 years to open a second restaurant. Then it took us another couple of years to open the third, and I would say the majority of them we opened in the past 4 to 5 years. Exponential growth. What happened was we had grown to 4 restaurants, and it was just my brother and I in business.
Do me a favor before we get into it.
Yeah.
So the first restaurant, George's. Second restaurant,
YB.
What were without getting into any detail, just the names of the restaurants thereafter. Year after, like, so how many years after younger brother?
Shimon was the next 2 years, no? 14? 2014.
Okay. So younger brother was 2012, 10 years after. 2014 was what?
2011 YB, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
2014 was Shimon. 2013, no?
13 we bought the property. That's right.
Right. 13, Shimon.
Okay.
And then 2017, George's Place Courthouse.
Okay. That was 17?
2017.
So we still got a handful of restaurants. So you guys really did blow up over the past couple of years.
Yeah.
What was
yeah.
Are you drawing a blank?
Oh, you want me to keep going?
Keep going.
2018, we'll say this building we bought, so we'll say Petunia.
Okay.
And let's do 2019. So 1, 2. No. Yeah, that was because COVID came, right? And then we did Vintage 2020, George's Place Commons 2020. Commons 21. No, 3-year deal. We're going into 24. We opened 2 in 2020, right? No.
So we have Commons, Vintage, Petunia, George's Court, Shimon. Am I saying that right?
Shimon.
Shimon, YB, and George's Place OG.
All right.
What are we
George's
missing?
Place Wildwood Crest.
George's Place Wildwood Crest.
2020. Sorry. So 2020, COVID, Vintage, and George's Place Wildwood Crest.
Beautiful. Okay, so so you're at 1 location for the first 10 years, 2 locations, 12.
You can see the trend.
Another one a year after, another one in 2017, and it looks like after 17, you guys just kind of blew up.
Yeah.
So, what were the major differences that happened from going from 1 to 2? Was it just dividing and conquering at that point?
Between my brother and I, yes.
Where was the culture of George's, your first location? Like how many? Like was there 10 there?
Well, 10 tables. Let's just say there were always 2 servers in the front of the house with 1 or 2 bussers. And there would be 1, 2, 3 on the line, 1 prep, and 1 dishwasher. Okay. So we're talking 5, 6, 7, 8. We're talking about 10 people and 700 square feet.
What happened if you both got sick before opening younger brother?
No problem.
No problem?
No problem at all. And this is where people come into play. And if they're just doing it for the money, that's one thing. But that culture that we talk about, it was there. And I'm gonna use the name Nikos again. You know, he really allowed my brother and I to start spreading our wings because he really took the store, closed his eyes, and said, you know what, this is my store. And he really did. Mm-hmm. And when you can find something like that or somebody cares about you that much and they allow you to go, because a lot of, people say, don't worry, I got this under control, but they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. He really, people come into George's Place and say, is the owner Nico here? And I'm like, I didn't say, no, I'm the owner. I'm like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I really do.
So one of the things I did want to discuss, and like looking at your website, if I look at the website, if I go to the homepage, you got a list of all the people. You're at the top, and then you and your brother are at the top.
Am I still at the top?
Yeah.
I told them to put us on the bottom.
Oh, well, someone's in trouble.
Oh, boy.
But underneath that, you have Nikos.
Nikos.
Right? And then
who is now the,
George Brannon. Or
Uh-huh.
Brannon? Brandon?
Georgie Jazz Hands.
Georgia Jazz. Oh, he's doing the jazz hands.
Yeah.
Matt Smith.
Yes.
You got Jenny. I'm not going to say these last names. So I don't want to screw anybody up.
Uh-huh.
Jenny, Heather, Noelle, Liz, Nick, managing partner, senior managing partner. And then you have some principals and vice presidents. So, like, what do these words mean to you?
Absolutely nothing, brother.
Okay.
They're just titles.
All right. So, managing partner.
A managing partner is somebody that's in a group. Let's say you're in a real estate holding company and you have 5 people. Or maybe that's going too far. But a managing partner is the face of the group, and everybody else in the background is like an investor, a silent partner. So in the corporately structured world, this is how it's presented. So I think to present to the world that we are together, you know, everybody that you just read owns an LLC and owns 1 or 2 of the businesses. So this is where the structure comes in.
So there's the original LLC, your LLC.
Right.
And then all the people that are titled partner here have their own separate LLC.
Correct.
And your LLC is doing business with their LLC.
Nobody in the group is on an LLC with somebody else. So in other words, we talked about Nikos.
Yeah.
Nikos is the president of Kara Restaurant Group, but Nikos currently owns and operates business owner of Vintage, BYOB, in Cape May. That's his restaurant.
So Vintage on the timeline came after younger brother. It was Shimon. Where was
Right.
Vintage? It was 2020.
Vintage was 2020. Uh-huh.
Okay. So is this something that you started doing more recently? Like younger brother, that was your restaurant.
Right.
You owned George's.
No, that would be the Pete's restaurant.
Okay.
So the Pete opened up an LLC. So I had an LLC for a limited liability corporation, which you should have for your restaurant. I had one for George's Place on the beachfront. Then my brother came and opened his own LLC for his restaurant.
Okay.
And then we opened a third, which was Shimon, BYOB.
Was that just you and your brother as far as...
That was just me and my brother, and I believe I put that one under my name. So you have 2 business owners now. It's just me and my brother. Nikos is at George's Place, and, you know, maybe 30 or 40 staff between the places.
Okay.
So we were starting to cook, brother, a little bit.
Was there any intentionality? What was the strategy? Why did you do it this way?
So, you know, the third restaurant we opened, Shimon, I just looked at my brother. We had such a beautiful deal. I said, why don't we do something like stupid, like crazy? And we usually sit down and, you know, shoot ideas past each other. We have 40 seats. How about we just do a seating at 7 o'clock for 40 people? We'll do a 15-course sit-down dinner, right? Just little bites. No menu. 7 o'clock, sit down, shut the fuck up. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. It was like $30. Just to play off of like, you know how we've had these dinners before where it's a 7-course dinner and it's $450 per person. I'm like, let's just do whatever we want. Let's have fun with it.
Yeah.
It's not about the money. It's about the creativity. So the evolution and kind of going on to that. And then we get a call from CNBC to fly out to Hollywood and shoot something with Joe Bastianich for a restaurant startup. And he basically called me and my brother an idiot. It's never going to work. And, you know, here we are. We're still here. The show is not. It's canceled. So,
so the pitch was the restaurant that you opened. I'm losing track of it.
Sorry, Shimon.
Shimon. And that's a tasting menu.
What's that? It's a tasting menu with no menu.
Okay.
We do whatever we want.
Got it.
So
that's fun. There's a lot of places doing that.
We enjoyed it.
Like,
I mean, I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
You know, what's on the menu? None of your business. Whatever you get is what you get. If you don't like it, don't come back.
What we feed you.
Yeah. The music's too loud. Can you turn it down? No, we cannot. Well, then we're leaving. I'm like, well, have a great life.
And how did that? Is it still going strong to this day?
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Oh, yeah. We love Shimon.
Nice. I love that. So at what point did you start thinking, okay, if we're going to scale beyond these 3 locations, that's where we're at at this point in your story, right? 3
Yes,
locations.
correct.
Shimon, younger brother, George's Place. What do we need to do?
Great question, brother, because I looked at my brother, the Pete, and I said, my man, we could open 1,000 restaurants. If we don't own any real estate, what are we doing? And the hunt began for just something. And you're either somebody that has an idea and is looking for a location, or you have a location and then you have an idea. We're the type that we see a location and then we have the idea. because different locations have different personalities. Now we're leasing everything at this point, correct?
Yeah, I would say that's probably the safer way of doing it. Is reverse engineering, starting with the end in mind. Like, what do we have to work with?
Yes.
What's the market here? What's missing?
Uh-huh.
And then filling the void. Whereas if you're so dead set on whatever it is you want to do, you try to squeeze it into a space that doesn't make sense, or
Right.
a market that doesn't make sense.
Right.
I like that way better.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, was this a BYOB?
They're all BYOBs, brother. Everything. We don't have a liquor license still.
Okay, so I'm curious about that. I mean, so let's wrap up that original
Right.
train of thought. Where beyond 3 locations, can we do this by ourselves, or do we need to start bringing on partners? That's kind of what I'm curious about.
That's where Georgie Jazz Hands comes in. George Brandon, VP.
Got it.
So it's me, Peter, Nico. Nico is not owning a business at this time, but I would say Nico is the reason that we're allowed to do these things, because he has home on lockdown.
Got it.
We found a location, which home is so yeah, like George's Place beachfront, and then YB's right there, and people respect and follow him. That doesn't happen very often, and he just kept everything just.
So when you say home, is that George's Place?
I would say George's Place is like home base. I mean, everything started from there, so we call it kind of like home base.
And you got 5 locations.
Yeah, and now we're kind of moving around. So we come across a property actually right down the street from here in this little area in Cape May Courthouse, New Jersey, where a building was for sale for $429,000. It's run down, but it's got some character. It's built in 1908, and it's zoned for a restaurant. So there was a restaurant in there, it failed. There was another restaurant in there, it failed. They put it up for sale, $420,000. I offered $350,000 because I looked at my brother. I'm like, we need a property. He's like, what do you want to do there? I'm like, a George's Place. He's like, okay, let's just fucking do it. I put the offer in for $350,000. The seller writes me a letter, and in capital letters says, "Go F yourself." And I'm like, ooh, that's not very nice. So the property stays empty for another year and a half, and then I get a phone call. Are you still interested in that property? And I said, I'm very interested at $265,000. And next thing you know, we're in. So we opened George's Place Courthouse. We own the property. And I looked at my brother and I said, okay, we're good. However, careful, what's the word we use? Careful trying to get happier than happy. And this is where growth and growing pains come in. We have 4 locations, and we're just 2 business owners. We have everything under a different LLC. And I looked at my brother and I'm like, oh, this is a lot. It's a lot. Hence, George Brandon, George Jazz Hands comes, and he was working for us. I had met him a year and a half earlier. Nico had brought him on as a server.
Where was he working?
He started at George's Place beachfront. I walked in the door. He
was on his hands and knees cleaning out a...
No, he was not. The exact opposite, brother. I'm going to tell you the exact opposite thing. He said, this is Nico introduced us, and he did a twirl like around and then stuck his hand down and said, hey, I'm George. Nice to meet you. And I'm like, hey, pleasure, man. And 2 seconds later, I pulled Nico aside. I said, get rid of me. Creeps me the fuck out. So over the next year and a half, I noticed that this guy's just a hustler. He's all over. So, him and Nico, and we made an offer to George. Hence, I would say how Kara Restaurant Group was born. You could say it was born back in 2000 when we first started, but I'm going to say it was born in 2017. Yeah, me and my brother came to the conclusion that why don't we give him a couple of points off of every restaurant. When I say a couple of points, that means a percentage of sales. So let's give him a salary, but let's give him not profit sharing, not a percentage. Let's give him like 3% of gross sales of each restaurant and just have him attack. And I would say 2 days later, I'm like, you know what? That's not fun. How about this? Sorry, can I have another cigarette?
We're gonna take a break we're gonna take another break to thank our sponsors. We'll be right back. I was just told now's the time to break.
Sorry, Mike.
We have to interrupt today's video to let you know that right now, Restaurant Systems Pro is offering a no strings attached 60-day trial that will help you improve your systems, increase your profit, and find better work-life balance. All you have to do is click the link below.
All right, we've had our cigarette break. We're
Yes.
back, and
Thank you.
we were talking about the structure, the formation of the group, and you were getting into it. You were just about to tell us how it's all structured. We're talking about first, it was you're going to give them 3% of every restaurant.
Yes.
Gross, of 3%. And then he said no.
Yeah, I was thinking of that director of operations thing, but you know what? It's not profit sharing. It's not whatever. It's like, you know what? It's just based on sales based for every restaurant. We have 4 restaurants right now, 3% plus a salary. I'm thinking like 80 grand, and you just run shit. And that's when I had another aha moment. I'm like, how about we do this? And I said, George's Place Courthouse at that time was our second busiest restaurant to George's Place on the beachfront. I said, George, like, what do you want to do with your life? He's like, well, I'm going to move to...
His name's actually George, too, so it makes sense that he's paying.
you know, it helps, right?
Hi, I'm George.
He's like, I'm going to move me and the family to Florida. And I'm like, no, you're not. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, you're not going anywhere. He's like, okay. Have you ever wanted a restaurant? He's like, it's my dream. I said, I thought so, because we kind of talked about it before. I said, how would you like this restaurant? He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, how would you just like this restaurant? Just, it's yours. Yeah.
Like he owns it 100% outright.
Yes.
Wow.
And that's when I came up with the idea of, how about we build a team of business owners? How do I show great employees? I don't want to pay people. I want to be part of a team of business owners and teach them how to be business owners. And that's why I say that's how the real group was born, because it was just my brother and myself. And he took it and ran with it, to be honest with you. So we take a little bit off the back end, a couple points, and no money up front. The restaurant's ready to go. There's already sales there. So let's say I was taking, I don't know, let's say I say, give me 10% of gross. No rent, no nothing, just 10%. Just like that original deal with my father-in-law back in the day. So he goes in. I watch him go through all the struggles that I went through, my brother went through. But you know what? You have an existing business. It's working. You have an LLC. Now you're learning numbers. Now you're learning the real shit. And just like I went through it, just like my brother went through it, he's going through it. He's feeling.
This is the third George's?
This is the second George's.
Okay,
so that property that we had bought,
That's right.
the original George's, still on the beachfront.
Yeah.
Then we bought the George's here. Me and my brother started running it. We had 4 restaurants, and we're just running around like it's too much. It was too much. So instead of hiring more people or hiring that person to run shit, I said, you know what? Let's just give him a business. All I'm going to say is, after the first year, he raised the sales at this George's Place location. Now, he owns the business. I'm not there. I'm not on the books. We're running stuff. He raises the sales. I say, okay, let's go 9 points now instead of 10 points of gross. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, this is how this works. I'm not just going to keep that number there for the rest of your life. I'm going to go lower. You raise the sales, I go lower.
Yeah, I'm getting mine. I'm happy.
Yeah, so if you raise the sales to $1 million, then we'll go down to this much. If you raise it to and then it clicked for him. He's like, oh,
I have complete control.
Yes, absolutely. And that's it. And what do? We go open another place. And then Nikos finally comes into the picture because he was born and bred to do this.
Nikos the other place?
Nikos is not a business owner yet. He is technically at that time, he was still director of operations. He was still the guy. He was still running the show, but he was not a business owner.
Got it.
He was not a business owner. And, I don't know if there was some fear there, but, I've always looked at him as day one as like, you are a restaurant owner. You are a restaurateur. People will follow you. I just don't want to pay you. I want to teach you how to hunt. I want to teach you how to do business. I want to teach you how to own a restaurant. No partners, nobody else on the LLC. It's just yours. And, I remember my lawyers, looking at me, or the banks looking at me and like, what's in it for you? I'm like, you'll see. It always works out.
I want to get into the benefits, but I want to make sure we unpackage what it looks like.
Definitely.
So anything more to unpackage in terms of what that looks like. So let me understand. At this point, you had 3 locations. You're opening your 4th. The second George's. You go to George Brandon and you say, hey, you're going to own this outright, and we're going to take 10% of gross, and you're going to take you're going to have what, I don't know how you guys do, like owner's pay or whatever profit. I don't know how you guys chop that up. So like, what do you like on the back end? Would you have 100 points? 10 points is going to you.
Right.
And then you're left with 90 points to cover taxes, operational expenses, owner's pay,
Everything.
profit. So basically whatever's left over is up to him to manage.
Yes. Absolutely.
As long as we get our 10%, you get 90% to take care of everything.
Well, you know, don't always get. I mean, we didn't always get the 10%, but that's again, we'll go back to growth and sacrifice. I'm like, George, just keep going. It's going to work. And like we said, year 1, year 2, year 3, you're going to see a difference. And I got you. My brother's got you. That's why the number goes down if you raise the sales, because there's a future there.
Right.
A lot of people are in.
Show up.
Yeah, there's a lot of people in leases to where, you know, there's 3%, 5%, 7% compounding interest year over year on their lease. You know, the landlord wins, but you have to keep up with that. And I think there's a failure rate there somewhere. Some people have some really, really great deals.
So the 5th location, what was that?
The 5th location is actually where we're sitting, brother.
Oh, cool.
You know, and we saw, I had driven by this building probably 20 years. And I said, you know what? If that place ever came up for sale, I don't care what it takes. We're getting it.
What was the appeal?
You know, the exterior, the brick, the original hardwood floors, you know, the upstairs, the residential aspect to it. And, you know, the outside, the inside just spoke to me. But this was a shoe store for 60 years. I think it was called a cobbler. They call it a cobbler. So you bring your shoes here, they fix it, they do whatever. It was
cobbler pie as a little homage.
Well, you'll see a little shoe outside. That's the original shoe on the window. So we just kept that as our homage. You know what I mean? And then next door was a jewelry store. Like I said, I just love the outside of the building. It reminded me of Philly. You know, there's not a lot of brick structures around here. What do you know? You know, I was just waiting at the stoplight right outside, and I just happened to turn my head, and there was a for sale sign in the window. It was the first day it was on the market.
Building or business?
Building.
Nice.
Yes. I called and he said, well, technically somebody already made an offer. I said, is it in writing yet? And he said, no. I said, well, I'm putting an offer in right now in writing. How much is it? They're like, $225,000. I'm like, what, dollars? That's it? Yeah, I'm in. Next thing you know, there's 4 people bidding on it, and one happened to be a chef, a James Beard nominated chef. And I said, wow, he'd be really great for the community. So I approached the chef and I said, listen, why don't we buy the building together, own the property together, but you open up your restaurant and do whatever you want because you're an amazing chef. And he said, no, I don't think so. And I'm like, just so you know, I'm not going to lose on this one. And, you know, we went to bidding and, I won. We may have overpaid, my brother and I, but it's really what is a property worth to you. So we came in here and we gutted the place and we went to court and we changed it to restaurant and here we are. So
is this where Nico comes in?
No, he does not.
So we were talking about Nico.
Yes. I'm like, come on, Nico, join the party. He's like, it's not really my style. I'm like, what? You're being picky now?
So
come on, my man.
You wanted Bettini to be his.
He wanted, you know what? I respect him for this. He waited until he saw something that spoke to him. And you know what? I'm like,
and it goes both ways.
Well, careful what you wish for because that could go on for a long time.
Right.
But as we're getting more and more phone calls, Eric, you know, the first 10 years, I didn't get any phone calls. Then, like in the 2010 to 2018 range, get a couple phone calls in the off season. Hey, what do you think about this? And now, especially now the phone calls are coming in, going back to consistency, building credibility. Now we don't have to look. Now we get some great phone calls of people that just say, we would like to have you in here, whether it's as a tenant. And I think now that we're leasing only properties that are absolute home runs because we like to buy the property. Yeah. So going back to here, we bought this property because we loved it. And it wasn't about the money. It's just about just loving something, whether it's real estate or your business.
This is after you make George a partner.
Correct.
So you you already have this idea of giving out partnership to people to make the greater vision work. Mm-hmm. So was this just internal between who owned this?
Well, all right, so
the 4th location or 5th location.
Before that, we also had another gentleman that was in the group by the name of something or other. And that person took over the younger brother, and we did the same deal.
Got it.
And then we bought this building. So we had 2 owner-operators.
How many times have you done this? Up to
right now, well, how many places are there? 13?
1, 2, 3.
Brick and mortars, yep.
I'm counting 3.
Overall, we've done it probably 18 times.
18 times.
So
what our partners are still here.
No. That's a whole other chapter of this book, brother. It's not for everybody, and careful what you wish for, because even though the deal is a home run deal, no money in, no money down.
So, let's wrap up the benefits of doing
Definitely.
this. What are the benefits from your perspective? Why has this worked for you?
Well, if you're an employee,
This being giving up partnership, just to be clear.
see, this is where it gets tricky. Is it a partnership? How is it a partnership?
You
Because
tell me.
I don't know. I'm asking you.
You know better than I do.
It's almost like we're sitting down at the bank and they're going, wait a second. So you're not anywhere on the books or on the LLC? No, I'm just there to guide. So think of it as, I don't know, think of it as we're going to war, right? Who's the first person out on the horse that, you know what, they know they're going to get destroyed, but that's the person. I feel like that's my job now. So I feel like my purpose in life is to take really great people, put them in a winning situation, and that doesn't mean pay you a shitload of money. That means teaching you again, how to hunt, and navigate through this. And I find that it gets easier, but it's not for everybody. That's the thing. But when you get the right group together, which is, I know what we have now, you can do anything, brother.
So the benefit is, like, what are the clear benefits of this approach?
The clear benefits, it's very unorthodox. What if I told you that these were all handshake deals and there was no contracts anywhere? Would you believe me?
I would believe you.
Why would you?
I don't know if I would agree with you that that's the best bit, but I think there's something to be said about extending trust. You got to give trust before you expect to get it.
I love that you said that, because I feel like the crew, all the people that you see on there, I think just recently, over the past year or two, there is complete and utter trust that I am a sick individual. And when you don't have to tell somebody, trust me, and you can automatically tell that they do trust you. So when I say there's no contract, I mean,
understanding what I know about human nature and people, and hearing what you said, I would assume one of the benefits you're getting is the sense of autonomy and personal growth and these things that we all need, right? So like, hey, this is yours. Treat it like you own it, because you do.
Right.
And I'm going to teach you. I'm going to help you grow. If you look, again, like I probably preach Maslow hierarchy needs way too much, but physiological needs, security. Do you see me? Am I growing? Have I reached my purpose in life? So do you see me? Yes, here's a restaurant. Am I growing? Yes, because I'm coaching you. And do I have autonomy? Yes, like now that you have the tools and the knowledge, you have the ability to shape your future based off of how hard you work.
Absolutely, brother.
So like that's
perfect.
Those are the benefits that I recognize. But flip side.
I have another flip side too. Go ahead. My flip side is that it's not all nurturing, happy coaching. That Yianni, that's one side, but there's another side of me, brother, that's not very pleasant.
Cons. So get the pros out.
It's not very. The cons are me and the sickness and the passion of wanting to be better. You know, we use Tom Brady as an example. Like, when I see somebody that's complacent, like in their business, that triggers me a little bit. So I become somebody different. I become somebody that's not nurturing, and I start becoming pushy because I want it to be better. And I know I can make things worse by doing that, but I just can't hold it in. And I don't know how to say it properly, but I know I come across as just some kind of monster that doesn't want to stop. And I can only imagine what, like, the outside surrounding people, not the people in the group, but I'm talking about maybe their family members, they're like, oh, but it's purpose driven. And, I like knowing that I'm never going to get married again. I'm never going to have any more kids. Shout out to my boys. One's in Arizona. One's just came back from Berkeley in Boston. So no more kids, no more marriage, right?
They would be in college right now or just graduating.
They're in school right now, yeah. Both of them,
20 years.
Definitely Big Daddy.
Yeah.
Now you've unleashed a beast.
Yeah.
Because now I've been with the boys. My youngest just left for Arizona. Now I'm like, now I'm really unstoppable.
Oh, man. Nice. So what happens next?
Well,
if you're unstoppable. Wait, do we unpackage all the cons?
I could go on forever, brother. I mean, the cons are just.
So what have you learned about how to do this approach better? Because I'm assuming this was 2012. You did this first model. You tried this first approach of giving equity, right? How have you learned?
Of giving equity, that would be to George Brannon in 2017. My brother and I are one different story.
It's been 5 years, or almost 6 years.
Well, think about it. We opened the first George's Place in 2002, and then we didn't open the other one for 15 years later.
I guess through trial and error,
right,
of taking this approach, And if somebody's listening to this, shaking their head like, I think I could do this. I have some people I could give opportunity to. I'm sick of being alone. I want to spread out the love. I want to give opportunity. And they're thinking they might want to take this approach. What is the air of caution, if any?
I don't know, brother. You've talked to many restaurateurs. Who the fuck is doing this?
Well, I mean, similar models, but not quite like this. But
Not like this.
If somebody else wants to do this, what is your advice for them?
You have to be very unselfish. Very, very, very unselfish because it has to work. The whole idea is not to pin somebody down so you get your money. Like I gave you the example of George. That was the first deal.
Yeah.
We're not doing those deals anymore. Now we're doing 2 points. So it all goes down to where for a lot of people, oh no, you're making more money, I make more money.
Right.
I'm the complete fucking opposite, brother. Like
You make more money, I make less.
yes.
But how does that come back around?
To what? Well, now we've
I think we already kind of unpackaged that.
yeah, listen, we're starting, the Amazon
figure
store.
out, yeah.
We've done the, you mentioned the podcast.
Yeah.
We get to journey. I'm working on 2 books. Me and my brother are working on the cookbook. I'm working on my own book.
It frees you up to work on the business, not in the business.
Right. And then we're getting more and more into real estate with more properties. And I think that's where the growth comes in. It's all surrounded around the restaurant group, but it really revolves around the people. I'm not here without them. Maybe they'll say, I'm not here without Yianni. But I said, who gives a shit? Let's just go get them. You know what I mean? And we're not going to take just any deal that comes to our lap. Now we're going to offer the deal. And if you want us in your property and we're leasing and not buying it, we're going to ask for the deal that we want. Oh, I can't do that. Well, good luck. Put somebody else in here and they might fuck it up and go from there. Anybody that's listening and they want to do this, you have to completely just burn yourself down to the ground and reinvent yourself and just say, you know what, just give. And it's not a money thing because what's the best part about teaching people?
Just watching them grow.
Yeah. You just got to meet George.
Yeah.
He's much different than he was 5 years ago, brother.
He didn't even spin when he shook my hand.
No, he's different now. Took all the life out of him. He's suffered. He's stressed. But I love it. I love it because if one of the restaurateurs in the group with their own, that's why I have everybody in their own LLC, their own business. There's nowhere to hide.
Yeah.
You cannot hide.
Yeah.
If you have 2 people on an LLC in your business, we talked about it before, about 50-50, and that's a recipe for disaster. I'm sorry. I know there's some partners that you could probably point out and it works well, but 2 people on one LLC on an operating restaurant with daily sales in and out, you're married to each other. And I just don't. I don't like it. Just
So
teach.
I think we've unpackaged that pretty good.
Okay.
I'm curious about the BYOB. A lot of restaurants, their bread and butter is alcohol sales.
Right.
So why BYOB? What's the benefit of not having a liquor license and having your patrons bring their own alcohol versus making money off of those sales?
Well, liquor is based on population, as many licenses that come out. So let's say you're in New York City and there's a population of 11 million and you get a liquor license for every 3,000 people. You could probably scoop one up for $5,000. Down here, I'll say in Cape May, there are none available to buy. And the last one sold for 1.6 million, I believe. Right in that price range. Yeah. So I believe the state of New Jersey in 2019, somewhere around there, you were never allowed to advertise that you were BYOB. They passed to where you could start advertising that you were BYOB, because I would see it in Philadelphia all the time, and I fell in love with all these little corner spots that just were BYOB. You bring your bottle of wine and just kind of go from there. How we've managed to grow without a liquor license is that I would say the majority of our places serve breakfast or brunch. And I could make the argument that the profit margins on breakfast and liquor are the same. So when somebody asks me, how do you make it? You could take a bottle of liquor and there's no expiration date, or it lasts for a long time, to where food does have an expiration date. But as far as profit margins go, I would make the same assumption. And that's why I think we can still continue to grow. Like at the end of the day, who owns a restaurant and just says, man, I can't wait to do breakfast? And I'm just talking about a little more upscale casual restaurants.
Do you sell a lot of orange juice?
Yeah, sure.
People bringing champagne?
Bring it on, Big Daddy. Let's go. Absolutely. BYOB, I would say 95%, even more, are all dinner, and it's all wine. No hard liquor. You can only do wine and beer. But there's something to be said. And, you'll have a 4-top come in and bring 3 bottles of wine. Okay, it's a party. And Are they up north? I mean, do you have BYOBs?
How does that work in terms of liability? Because I know what is that law if you like I can't remember what it's called, dram law or something like that. Like if you leave and you get in an accident and you were
there are laws to where like the
Restaurant
server cannot pour it for you. Correct? Like
uncork it.
uncork it. You know, some places do a corking fee and anything like that. To be honest, but I don't know. I don't remember seeing any BYOBs in Boston while visiting my son up there.
Yeah, it's not big up there.
It's not a thing, right?
No, I don't think
No. I love it, and I've noticed more places now are doing it.
What the hell is the name of that law that if you get in a car accident after being served, and if you damage property, I can't remember what it's called. But are you still liable for the people that you're serving if they bring their own alcohol? How does that liability shift? Do you want me just to eliminate that question altogether? Okay, Jared, you heard that.
Honestly, I was gonna look over at Noel and be like, "What exactly is?"
I have somebody for that.
As long as there's proof that there is no, like the server didn't pour it. The server was
Right.
pouring them all night, then they can be held liable and so can the restaurant. However, if we just uncorked it and they chose to drink and they served themselves, we are not liable.
Correct. I think that's what I was saying. You pour. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fact check.
We got Noelle coming over here.
Oh, sorry, she's on there somewhere.
Yeah, she's fine. All right.
So legally, servers cannot serve the actual or pour for the client or the customer.
Right.
But if the customers are pouring for themselves all night, they get pulled over. That's their own liability. That's on them. Or if they get into an accident.
Correct.
Now, if the server is pouring them all night, just trying to give better service, so to
Right.
say. And then when they get into an accident, at that point, if they do an investigation and find out that the server was actually serving, then you get fined.
That's Noelle Venturini
Who?
on the phone.
Who the fuck is that?
Who am I talking to? Right
I don't know. Who the hell is that? Where'd she come
Oh,
from?
you're not Noelle?
I am.
Oh,
What's her last name?
Noelle
Say it.
Venturini?
Something like that.
That's a good Italian name. I like it.
How you doing?
That one I can spell. So,
Thanks, Noel.
yeah, thank you very much. Another benefit of having multiple partners is divide and conquer strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah.
Anyway,
It's fun.
yeah. So
Absolutely.
we covered a lot. Anything we haven't discussed that you think you could bring unique perspective to today's conversation that hasn't come up?
How long do we have, brother?
I have gotten.
I could go on for days.
For the listeners, it is Friday afternoon. currently.
Yes.
Honestly, man, I think there's a lot we could talk about. I just want to make sure I'm not cutting you short. Is
No, you're good, brother. You're good. If there's anything that I'm missing, but like I said, I could not shut the fuck up for days, when it comes to this, because this is what I live for.
Yeah.
And as we talk about, different owner operators or different, we talked about creativity having no end. That's how I feel at this point in my life. Like, there's no end. We can do anything. We went into durability and profitability. It'll always show up. But when I see somebody's house and it's nicer than their per se restaurant, I got a real fucking problem with that. Because when you're thinking about, dressing up nice and, like we said, being cool and pulling up in your fucking car and your house is nice, yeah, like what are you doing?
And you're paying your line staff minimum wage.
This guy, they ask for $2 raise. I said, okay, come on, what are we talking? I can't do that, bro. It's not my thing.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So Restaurant Unstoppable's mission is to change the world through inspiring, empowering, and transforming the industry. Along this note, this idea of change, where do you think we are now, and what do you think we could do better collectively as an industry?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Did I already say how long we got? What can we do better as an industry? I don't know how to answer this. I'm thinking, as an industry, as a restaurant owner, as a restaurant worker, as somebody that's in the field, what can we do better as an industry? I don't know if everybody's going to like my answer, but the first thing that popped into my head.
Matter, it's your answer.
Oh shit, that's what I'm talking about. I think the whole the fairy tale of the QSR. And that's the first thing that popped into my head. The QSR means that there's no tables, there's no chairs. You just walk into a place, there's a counter. I'm not going to say
service restaurant for the record.
Yeah, I'm not going to say Subway or Chipotle, because you know what? There's a difference between those places that are franchises that are in bigger cities that actually have a line out the fucking door. And I think sometimes, we had talked about franchising before. I think there's the dream that, you know what, I don't want to do any work. I want to do the easiest thing possible. I want to make a lot of fucking money. That's not the art of the restaurant. That's not, it is an art. I don't care what anybody says. You can learn from different or other people, but if it's just a money play, that's what I don't like. How do you change the industry? We need more operators. We need more owner operators. We need better owner operators. I'm sorry, brother. There's a reason that a lot of restaurants go out of business. It's because people don't know what they're doing.
Right.
I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, and I still worked in 27 different places, and I opened my first, and I still didn't know what I was doing. But you got to hold on to the ship.
Yeah. I like it, man.
All right.
I like it.
All right.
So along this note of transformation, behind every great restaurant's a great person, and I think if we're going to change the industry, it starts with changing individuals in the industry and giving them that aiming point to what success looks like. So along that line, how have you personally transformed over time? Who are you today versus the man you were, the Yianni you were back in 2002 when you opened your first restaurant?
Much more violence, much more anger, much more throwing of telephones, much more frustration.
That
much
was when
more
telephones were still attached to the wall. So
well, I would go through
there
two.
was some protection.
Yeah, but that was my favorite thing to
They're
throw.
on
It was my favorite thing to
You could only
throw
throw
because
it.
I could just take the fucking thing and just whale it across the room, and I knew it only cost $10.99 to buy another one from Walmart, so it'd be the first thing that I would throw. And it would just go flying. And we had, even the cordless part too. I'd just rip it out and just, let out my frustration. And that was just, like I said, it was immaturity. But I didn't want to hold it in. I just wanted to let everything out, just let it out. And I think some people appreciated it, and some called me, even Nikos, I think, went into some kind of schmeal about being scared of coming to work because he didn't know what was going to come out of my mouth. Is that still the case today?
No, not anymore.
Fact check? No?
I don't know. Noel seems
Yeah.
on the fence with that one.
Yeah, I do have my moments.
Hey, you're
and
not perfect, but you're getting better.
I want to be less intimidating, and I don't realize I'm being intimidating when I am. And I'm going to say the maturity. I'll just leave it at that. That's the biggest difference. Well, maybe not. I think a better understanding of what we had talked about.
Got it.
The three things that I told you when I was 20 years old: restaurant by 30, million by 40, and semi-retirement by 50. And I think now, as I'm 2 years away from 50, now I should start thinking about 60, 70, and 80, right?
Right.
I should write down those things. Okay.
People are living a lot older nowadays. You got to plan for it.
Yeah, I take some vitamins here and there. The smoking doesn't help.
We're going to take one more break to thank our sponsors. This has been a long episode, so it's going to be a 3-break type of day. We'll be right back to bust out a speed round. Want to just keep rolling? Bust
Speed
it out,
round?
get it done. 10 questions.
Okay, shoot.
You got this. Actually, I might work in a couple new ones.
Okay.
We're back, and typically this is 10 questions. I've been playing with the idea of the speed round to switch it up. I've been asking the same questions for almost 500 episodes. One question that was recently suggested to me by Sean Finter, who was my most recent guest.
Okay.
I like it. What makes you unstoppable? What about you and your restaurants is unstoppable that we can replicate in our own business?
Just acute stubbornness. A stubbornness. How do we do it? How do we do it? How do we do it better? Keep going, keep going, keep going. I said before, it's a sickness. It is. It really is a sickness. And I don't want to stop. Hence, unstoppable.
Yeah. What is your biggest weakness?
Loyalty.
What is one question you ask or thing you look for when you're looking to grow your team?
One thing that I look for to grow the team,
Yeah, when you're hiring somebody or you're growing your team, what are you looking for in that individual?
that they don't have the personality of a spoon.
Okay. So that spin and handshake didn't do it for you?
It was a little too much, but it just freaked me. It was the timing was off, but it all works out.
What is the biggest challenge you're dealing with today?
People.
How are you overcoming it?
Making them disappear and bringing in new ones. I'm just kidding. No, that's a horrible answer, bro. That's a horrible answer.
Fire fast, hire slow.
It's the first thing that came to my. I don't know. It's the first thing that came to my mind.
There's some truth to that. Like,
Well, if there's 100
give
people,
everybody a
200
chance.
people, it's a lot, and that's the hardest part. Even if there's one business, I think that's the hardest part. People, and that's why I said personality of a spoon. You look for somebody you can vibe with, right? Not they're the best worker, they do the best side work, but again, personality of a spoon. I want somebody that's got something, anything.
share one code of conduct or behavior you teach your team. This is a core value.
Trust. Oh yeah. I know you don't like the no contract thing, but fuck it, man. Let's just go. Let's just go with it.
Something about the speed of trust that's very powerful.
Yeah, listen, we just came across a landlord and we made a great deal with him.
Yeah.
We don't even have a lease.
Yeah.
He's like, you cool? I'm like, yeah, I'm cool. You cool? He's like, yeah, I'm cool. And I'm like, okay, let's go.
It's definitely wrong.
We're not advising this, by the way. I'm not advising you to do this, but go with your gut, man. Go with your gut.
What to do, man.
I don't know. I'm just
It's
saying, you know.
working for you. Share one code of conduct or behavior. Oh, yeah, I just asked that question. I'm all over the place. What is one uncommon standard of service you teach your team? So this is something that's common within the four walls of your industry or your restaurants to go above and beyond, but not common throughout the industry.
Stop treating your. Have you ever been in a restaurant that feels like a morgue? There's just no life to it, brother.
I'm sure I have, but I probably never went back.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we got bad reviews. I'm like, there's a lot more where that came from. They're just not on the computer, or they didn't say anything, and they're never coming back. Right?
Wait,
what was the question?
If the question is, what is one uncommon standard of service? What is the service that you're providing there?
What is one uncommon standard of service?
That is common within the four walls of your restaurants, but not common throughout the industry to go above and beyond guest expectation. Connection.
But that's not uncommon, right?
I mean, it depends on what level of connection we're talking about. Pete wants to say something. We got some folks off.
Who the fuck are you? Where'd you guys come from? Ah, good one, buddy.
Okay, so what
Good
Pete
one.
said is, how many times have you ran out of the restaurant because somebody wanted something that we didn't have?
Mantra number 76 is always exceed the guest expectations. Yeah. So BYOB. Oh, we didn't know it was BYOB. We didn't bring any wine. What do you want?
This is a grocery store down the street. I'll hook you up.
Yeah, I'll get in my fucking car. I don't care if there's a 2-hour wait. No. I'll stop what I'm doing and I know it's just one table that you're exceeding, but that's how you do it. Just one at a time. And, you know, my brother mentions that because he see me do it at sometimes the most inopportune time. It's not the right time for me to leave, but I feel like it has to get done.
This might be a Cacciatore original.
Oh, yeah?
I'm going to try to echo it.
Oh.
I think that you measure hospitality by, in the moment, if you're doing something and it feels like an inconvenience, then if it feels like a huge fucking inconvenience, then do it because you're going to blow their socks off. Even a slight bit of inconvenience means that you're being unreasonable. They're asking something that's unreasonable, but the fact that you do it is unexpected, and lean into the inconvenience because that's a good internal signal that you're about to do something that's going to be recognized as hospitality.
That's a mic drop.
So lean into the inconvenience. If you feel, and the cool thing is we have the ability to override emotion. A feeling of inconvenience is an emotion. You can override that feeling and write a new end to the story and say, yeah, and make that inconvenience into your highlight of the night.
Word.
Right.
Boom.
I might have learned something.
Fuck yeah.
In 1,000 episodes. What is one book that's a must read to make us a better person or restaurant owner?
Oh, Kitchen Confidential. Restaurant owner? Ooh, sorry, I lied. Kitchen Confidential. I mean, come on. What are we talking about here? Come on. Phenomenal. I'm going to go 0 to 1, Peter Thiel.
Biggest lesson from that book?
0 to fucking 1. He explained, I think he was doing it's called globalization. And what is globalization? Globalization is taking a computer and then building 30 of them, right? 0 to 1 is taking I'm sorry, I'm completely botched that. It's taking a typewriter and building 100 typewriters. That's globalization. 0 to 1. How do you go from 0 to 1? You take a typewriter and you build a computer. And when I picture that progress, like we can use George's Place as an example. Why the fuck would we open all these different kinds of restaurants? If you want to make money, just open George's Places. That's it.
Core focus.
Yeah.
One thing. Yeah. Spend 10 years getting it down. And then once you figured it out, scale it.
Yes.
Yeah. What is one piece of technology you've adopted that's had a huge impact on communication, efficiency, profitability, anything along those lines?
I talked about stubbornness before. I think the biggest game changer within the group was absolutely me opening up to Open Table.
Open Table.
Yeah. Not specifically, but I'm going to say that company. I know there's different companies. But I think my stubbornness, because I don't want a fucking computer and I don't want technology. I want the restaurant. I want physical calls. And when I think about, we've lost a lot of guests in the past, and I'm like, it's okay. They'll come back. So if a customer comes in, I have restaurateurs that try and squeeze them in or tell them, here's my favorite. How long's the wait? 10 minutes, 20 minutes. They're like, it's almost ready. That's called the bait and switch.
Right.
No, you're supposed to do the opposit. Tell them really long, and then again, exceed the guest
Right.
service, then get them in. So I mentioned is there another way to say it? What's it called? Not open table, just the system of reservations. Because I know there's Resi and there's a couple.
Booking, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's good for efficiency, but like I said, I don't know, brother. Old school. I just missed a phone call, and I'll call you back, or they leave a message and kind of go like that.
It's a weird time. I agree with you that I think that there's some people who like to talk on the phone, and like I like to talk on the phone. I'm dyslexic. If you make me text me, I don't want to read anything. Talk to me.
Talk to me. That's it. Yeah, I need to talk.
But there are people at the same time who get like social anxiety picking up a phone call.
Right.
And it's weird. It's like, I don't know where I fall on that. I agree with you that I prefer a phone call, but I don't know if I can discount the people who just want to tap two buttons.
Right.
Because the argument is that offering that service is being hospitable.
Yeah.
Because you're meeting them where they're at. I don't know.
I miss the days where they would have to call if they wanted to cancel
too,
instead of going on the fucking computer and saying, I'm not going to do it.
Because unless you're staring at a computer screen, you're missing things. And who wants to stare at a computer screen all day and be in this industry?
Or the dreaded no call, no show. Come on, man.
I'm with you.
You're going to hold that fucking reservation for 3 weeks and then cancel 2 hours before?
The answers. I just like to talk about what's possible. So the next question. So wait, how has that helped you? Why using open table?
Efficiency. As we've graduated from 10-table restaurants to 20-table restaurants to now, we just recently opened Brine BYOB in Cape May, and I believe it's 160, 170 seats. So, if we're doing the phone call thing there at a place that big, so now I understand. Like with bigger places, it's just more efficiency.
Yeah.
The love of my life is a small restaurant with a couple tables, intimate. And now as we graduate to bigger ones, sometimes you kind of lose the intimacy on bigger places. But yeah.
I like that. All right. This is the last question, man. We made it to the end. Are you ready?
Oh, shit. All right. Let's go.
So keep those
what you got?
open.
What you got?
If you got the news, you'd be leaving this world tomorrow. All the memories of you, your work, and your restaurants would be lost with your departure, with the exception of 3 pieces of wisdom you could leave behind for the good of humanity and your legacy. What would those 3 pieces of wisdom be? You're gone. Only thing we have to remember you by are these 3 nuggets. Pretend you're giving these nuggets to your sons.
Well, my youngest son asked me if he'd be okay with me getting a tattoo, the one that's in Arizona. And I said, yeah.
How old is he?
It's your life. 18.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He said, what are you going to do? Yeah, of course. I said, just tell your mother. And I said, I recommend on your left ass cheek, you can't save yourself to wealth. Just get out of that mindset. Don't save. Stop saving. Stop saving. Stop saving and start doing. So there's a lot of argument on that, but I would like to leave that wisdom when it comes down to it. That would be absolutely
the first. Save yourself to wealth.
You cannot save yourself to wealth.
Start doing it. That's one.
It's the house thing. Are you going to save money for 10 years? The house is going to be more in 10 years. Make it happen today.
Yeah.
Do it. Yeah. Do it now.
What's
I don't know if there's a good way of saying this about I'd like to say be cool. Just be fucking cool. I just told you about trust and no contracts, and I could see a little twinkle in your eye like, ooh, but it sounds great.
I love it, but
what
know,
if?
Like for me,
yeah.
Go ahead, finish what you're
saying. No, you're good, brother.
Same for me. I've heard so many different perspectives.
Yeah.
That I could equally weigh that scale
right.
with the people that have told me to always get it in writing. But those people probably have been burnt a bunch of times.
Yeah, we always hear the horror stories.
Right.
Do we always hear the good stuff?
I mean, the more I learn, the more I realize that there is no right answer.
There's no right. Just feel it. Just live, man.
And
just
my
go.
My job
right.
as the host of this podcast is to offer perspective.
Right.
That's all I'm here to do. I try to stay unbiased. I'm not perfect. But if that works for you, if it's working for you, then who am I to say that's not the right way to do it?
I hear you, brother.
Success is relative.
Damn right. I'll finish with number 3 on the other butt cheek. I would say get a tattoo of, play offense first. Just play offense, and after that, learn how to play defense.
So just start. Number 2 was
No, wait. Can't save yourself to wealth.
okay.
What was number 2?
Just start, I guess. No.
Be cool.
Be cool.
Be cool, which
Number
means
3.
trust. And number 3,
Play some offense.
play offense first, and then play defense.
Got it. I love this conversation, man. Thank you so much.
You say that to every Greek you talk to. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just
love
saying.
Greeks,
Yeah,
man. I
I
spent
know
a
you
good chunk of
do.
my life hanging out with Greeks. They're good people. They've taken care of me.
Word.
They've always been generous.
Nice.
And now is where we say, who do you respect and admire in the industry? If I were to get somebody on the show, somebody that you look up to as an operator, somebody if you knew there were guests on the show, you're like, I want to hear what they have to say. What did they share? Who is that person for you?
Well, I've read this person's book. I'm going to use somebody
Will
else.
Gardera, is that what you're thinking about?
What's that?
Were you thinking about Will Gardera?
No.
It's been a hot one lately.
Yeah?
Everyone wants me to talk to Will. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I like some of the old school guys. I'm particularly fascinated by what's Ferran Adria's brother's name again? Ferran Adria. What's the brother's name? He's crazy. Adria from come on, Pete. Oh boy. I saw his ass on Chef. I want to hear more from
I
him.
don't know how to spell Fran.
Last name Adria.
Deja? Say it again.
Adria is the last name. Albert Adria. I don't even know where the fuck he is. I think he's in Spain, brother, but he's just a sick individual.
I want to take this thing international.
Huh? Oh, you're going. What?
I would love
You?
to.
Oh, you are, brother.
He's a Spanish chef. He is currently head of tickets at Michelin one-star restaurant Barcelona and was formerly the head pastry chef at El Bulli.
Bully, yeah. He's a sick. And he doesn't speak English.
Oh, well, you're really making this tough for me, man.
That's all right. No, he has a translator. I'm just saying. Locally, who we like locally? Am I allowed to say Mario Batali anymore? Is he still in trouble?
Let him tell his story. Did he do some fucked up shit? Yeah, but have we heard his story? I would love to have an unedited version of his perspective.
Right? I mean, listen.
What's your side of the story?
I grew up on Malto Mario.
Canceled.
I grew up on the show Malto Mario, and I would sit there with a fucking notebook and just write what he was doing. Did he do some effed up shit? Okay. All right. But like you said, what'd you say? He's got a story.
You got a story. And can we learn something from him? You don't think we can learn anything from Mario?
Yes. Yes. Am I allowed to say that? I'm not going to piss people off, am I?
Joe
Bastianich?
Yeah, I can't speak today. About Joe
Joey.
or Mario. Let's do this.
Me and Joe, well, look, we got into it. But
Oh, shit.
yeah. He said, you're a little charmer, aren't you? And I'm like, he punked me and my brother off on the show, so I'm still a little bitter about that.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Albert and why am I brain farting?
Albert and Mario.
Mario.
Albert.
That's right.
Let's do Albert outside of the U.S. Let's do Mario inside the U.S.
All right. Look out, guys. I'm coming after you.
That's what I'm talking about.
And if we enjoyed today's episode, how can we connect with you? What's the best way to connect?
With me?
Yeah. If you want to maybe come work for you, come learn from you, be mentored by you.
I don't know. You think everybody's gonna like me after this
Maybe
interview?
I want to tell you how much of an idiot you are.
I'm waiting for it. I'm ready for it, brother. Get your ass in the car and drive down to Cape May County, New Jersey. You can find us at one of 13 places.
I do not think that for the record.
Just,
But what's the best way to connect?
just
I really
ask for
enjoyed
Yianni.
today's conversation.
Thank you. I have very much as well, brother. It's a pleasure to finally meet you. I enjoy everything that you do. It's just fucking first class. You're first class, brother.
Thank you very much.
Definitely.
Did we get the contact information? You said it, I think, right?
The contact information?
For you to reach out.
Am I going to,
Do you not want people to reach out?
you want to throw my phone number out there?
No, you don't. I mean, that's up to you.
info@cararestaurantgroup.com.
Okay, beautiful.
Yeah, you want to do that? Info
works.
and just ask for me and I'll get back to you.
And this is episode 1028. So head over to restaurantstoppable.com/1028. We'll have a summary of today's discussion, as well as any tools, services recommended, and how to connect with Yianni. Now I say there is no question. You are unstoppable.